Okay, got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. Get cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
First kid you just had?
Yeah.
I knew where we were going to start.
Yeah.
How's that changed your perspective on life?
Dude, it was crazy because, dude, I mean, I got back from the Legion fucking 18 months ago. So I got back in the country fucking December, and then that happened pretty fast, dude. I met my fiance, we had her, and I'm like, you know, it was good timing though, because I'm almost 40, so you know, I had a good run. But it ups the game. It's now I got to be much more strategic, financially more strategic. It just kind of it ups the level of I got to hold myself to a higher standard. There's no fucking up. There's no more slipping and falling and
good
rebuilding.
luck with that.
You know,
we don't have enough time to cover the number of things I fucked up since my kids were born.
Yeah.
I started having kids. Well, I was involved in the process, but didn't have the kids, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's see. Riley is getting ready to be 22. So I was 25. A different era.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Pros and cons.
Dude, you were right in the dev groove, fucking just getting there and having kids at the same time.
I went through selection in 2002. My son was born in October of 2003. In between
Damn, bro.
Yeah. But also
It was a busy time for you.
Yeah. I left there with 2 kids. And then my daughter was born in San Diego.
Yeah.
But it was also, I mean, I was still a kid.
Yeah.
At 40, I think, for men, you should be maturing to about the age of 16 internally. Yeah. So we're doing, you're getting there. Even though I'm 47 now and I still feel like I'm 18 years old. But it's, I don't know how I didn't mess my kids up at the age of 25. I look back at who I was at 25.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
The job aside, just for being a complete idiot.
Yeah. You don't strike me as that, man. You seem fucking squared away as fuck, dude. You know?
What gives you that impression? Let's remember what you see on social media is selective.
You know, I was going to ask because I was thinking about this today in the shower, no homo, but I was thinking about this
starting off homo.
Yeah, I was thinking, dude, you got in the teams right out of high school, which is rare. You know, and so I'm thinking, you know, it's not super common, I should say, right out the gate. And then
today's episode is brought to you by Montana Knife Company. If you followed the show for the last year or even before that, you've heard me talk about this brand. Founded by Josh Smith, the youngest master bladesmith, at least in the U.S. I don't know if that's a global thing. Frenchtown, Montana, which is just on the western border of Missoula, moving into a fantastic, large facility. And if you're into going and seeing how things are made, he's going to have a full experience, an ability to do a tour. He's going to have a Black Rifle coffee shop right there up in front. I believe it's going to be done later this year. A great way to go see how this brand is evolving and growing. When I first met Josh, he was in his garage and now a building on his property and growing to that bigger facility. Bringing jobs back to Montana. American made, American assembled, American finished. A spectacular return policy, lifetime sharpening. These knives are very hard to get. If you go over to montanaknifecompany.com, which is what I recommend you do, buy a t-shirt or a sticker or something like that so you can have your payment information saved. They drop knives Thursdays and Saturdays. Thousands of knives, and it's not uncommon that those knives are gone in a matter of minutes, if not under a minute. I've seen some drops go. They make chef's knives, tactical knives, knives for people who work on ranches, people who work in restaurants, filleting, caping, skinning, you name it, they make it. They have some that are in stock and some that are going to be released on regular intervals, but I just don't know actually the rotation of that. Amazing apparel. They have really cool designed t-shirts, hats, stickers, patches, all of that. So people ask me all the time, what's the best way they can give back to the podcast to support the podcast? It's by supporting brands like Montana Knife Company and what they stand for. So head over there, montanaknifecompany.com. Somewhere in the checkout portal, they're going to ask you how you heard about their company. Hit Andy Stumpf or the Cleared Hot podcast or both, explore the space. I'm not going to tell you how to live, and enjoy the product that shows up at your house because it's great stuff. Back to the show.
That whole process, new guy and fucking drinking in the teams and, navigating that, and then going to the next level and being probably one of the younger guys going through selection, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Then managing that whole career. Dude, that's a lot of partying. It's a lot of just straightforward. It's a lot of navigating things. it's a hard charging fucking group, dude.
I'm not as squared away as you think. I lost my Trident 6 weeks after I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pulling a knife on a dude in a bar.
Yeah. Okay.
Technically, it was outside of the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not even 21.
Yeah.
Not even fucking 21.
Yeah.
And when the skipper slides the scissors across the desk because we had just switched to the patch.
Yeah.
I thought I was like done though. He didn't strip my NEC. He just wouldn't let me wear it.
Yeah.
But I had just had those camis pressed. So as soon as I took it off, people are like, "What? So what was that patch you used to have there?" I'm like,
"Fuck, dude, that's powerful." Unfortunately, I've had that experience, and I had to do it in the car, and it was fucking
Oh, it's rough,
dude. I don't think many things compare. It's a very unique. I didn't feel like my life was, but it was really kind of a poignant moment. I was going, "Wow."
Did it change? So let me ask you this: that moment in my life changed how I thought about myself.
Yeah.
And it did change the trajectory. I haven't always, trust me, we could literally get in for hours onto I'm far less squared away than you think.
Yeah.
People need to remember that what you see online is.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Oh, dude, I'm a fucking. People think I have a architecture to the things I've done in my life.
Yeah.
And I consistently and constantly have said that I have stumbled my way into almost everything that I've done. I didn't have this grand plan of this step, then that step, then this step, and then all three of those are. No, it's like.
Yeah.
Well, I got this offer and I don't know where it's going to lead. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
And then so it has been very hodgepodge. But that day, it actually wasn't the day that he took my Trident from me. Because first we had to go through a Chiefs mass.
Yeah.
And
that's fun.
My CO's name was Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
And, when you're talking about the partying, I have heard that the SEAL community is actually shifting away from the drinking culture that it once was, which I think is a very good thing.
I do too.
Because I now have quite a few friends that have killed themselves. And one of the things that was a very common denominator in all of that was alcohol
Absolutely.
abuse. If not shit-faced in the moment where they made that decision.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I get the chills when you say it, dude, because there's a lot of guys that we know, man, that
I'm talking guys found surrounded by beer bottles and fucking.
Yeah, man. I'm getting the chills all over just because that.
But so Captain Morgan, though.
Yeah.
I remember the speeches they used to give us. It's like, hey, Friday speech, we're going to do a run, swim, run. Of course, it was Team 5, so volleyball. This was the old compound.
Yeah.
Before this is like the old compound.
Yeah.
It's like volleyball afterwards, of course.
Yeah.
At noon, the kegger will be opened.
Yeah.
Preceding this, though, like the evolution brief was like, hey, guys, you really shouldn't drink and drive.
Yeah.
You guys really need to be responsible.
And then the kegs
Then it's
coming
like run, swim, run. There's going to be a kegger. And the fucking XO and CO would look at the group and be like, hey, you guys better be the last people here.
Yeah.
At the kegger, I'm like, motherfucker, I drove to work.
Yeah.
You just told me to be responsible, but I have to be the last guy at the keg.
Yeah. Topping it off.
And meanwhile, the fucking OPSO is like on his 5th DUI.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still the moniker and the teams of like, hey, you can't make E7 until you've had a couple Deweys.
Yeah.
I'm like, so it was rough.
Yeah.
For me, it never got its hooks into me. I was always able to turn it on and off. But dude, that moment, but it wasn't, so before the fucking captain's mast, there was XO mast. Before XO mast, there was a chief board.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because 3/4 of the platoon was standing outside of the conference room waiting to go in individually to be interviewed by the chiefs.
Yeah.
And the XO comes out. He's like, oh, it looks like a great time for a platoon photo. I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Meanwhile, I'm sitting there, brand new guy, just had my
sweating balls.
Dude, just had
nervous as shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I actually had a shift in who I was before I went into that Chiefs mast. Because before that, and this is many years in the rearview mirror, but I remember I was looking at ways to explain what had happened through the lens of it was somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
I only did this because this person made me.
Yeah.
And I realized if I did that, I was going to be fucked.
Yeah.
And I just flipped it on its head and just accepted the fact, like, you really fucked up.
Yeah.
This is completely your fault. You shouldn't have been there. You probably could have stopped. I wasn't even directly involved in the fight. But I sat there and I watched one of the older dudes, and you remember this from being a new guy. Mm-hmm. If they would have told you to crawl on coals,
you'd have done it.
How far?
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna go rob a bank this weekend. Be like, sweet. Can I be on the roof with a 60? Like, anything they said was gonna go. And I knew what was happening was fucked up, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And then I got myself involved. ran from the cops, which years later got this awesome email from one of the cops that arrested me. He heard me talking about it on a podcast.
No way.
Yes.
He's like, that was this dude.
He was like, dude, that was a fucking legendary story for years in Tucson PD. He goes, we still laugh about that shit.
You guys were in Tucson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at an Irish bar that shall remain fucking nameless.
Yeah.
That's where it started. Then I evaded the cops and went across the street to another bar and drank for hours as they were fucking looking for me. But I just went there to the Chiefs board, and I was like, and they started asking questions. I'm like, this is what happened. This is why I did it. I'm like, listen, I thought I was doing the right thing.
Just owned it.
Owned all of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the XO. Same thing with the CO. And then my OIC was in the room with me with the CO. And he looked at my OIC. He was like, what do you think we should do? He's like, he's a fucking good kid.
Yeah.
We should give him another chance. He goes, okay. Fucking opened his desk drawer and slid out a pair of scissors. And I thought that was the end of it.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm going to hold on to this for you.
Yeah.
And you'll get it back when you are deserving of it.
Damn, that's heavy.
But from that moment on, it's like there is nothing that happens that's not my fault, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to say
that's a good paradigm shift.
I'm not going to say I invented extreme ownership before Jocko.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that happened before the book came out.
Yeah.
No, but it helps. And dude, it changed the trajectory of my life. I'm curious, when you lost your bird, did it have the same impact? Because I think it depends on who you are, your experience, and where you are in your life. Because I actually had the experience of taking a couple people's bird later in my career, which sucked, by the way. And you could tell for some of them, it was going to be the beginning of a fucking downward spiral. Yeah. And for others, they were going to be okay. Yeah. They were going to move past it.
Yeah. It was actually, I did it in the car, and I had a interesting kind of a thought, because I said, I got to go in there, and I technically don't have my, NIC or whatever it was. But they did it kind of quietly. So the Master Chief and the CO was like, hey, dude, you going to be good? And I'm not going to name, but he was a fucking good dude. And he goes, and I said, you know what? He was like, what are you going to do? And he said,
meaning like
the Master Chief was actually from Development Group, and he was there, and he goes, "What, are you going to be good?" And I said, "I think I'm just going to do what I've been doing, man, and just put my shoulder back and my head up and just fucking keep going." He's like, and he kind of like teared up, man, and I kind of teared up. I said, "It is what it is," And when I cut it off in the car, in the truck, I just had this moment where I was like, I did it. This is just a symbol. It didn't really change what I've done. It just kind of changed what my fucking title is now. And so that was the moment I kind of was like, I'm all right. It sucks, and I'm, walk around without this thing for a few months, but that was it. It was it. But the ownership piece, I'll say, because I've had two boards, and they were a couple of years apart. But the first one was just from a bar fight in fucking Idaho, and it was all the Chiefs in there, some big names, guys that we know were in there, and they're like, they watched it on the fucking Jumbotron. They're like, oh, they're like,
Video evidence.
I
was drawing mine up on a whiteboard with a Sharpie.
Yeah,
then I went over this fence, and
they want to see.
One of the fucking asshole Chiefs, he's like, well, why don't you draw the fence for us?
Yeah.
I'm like, and he's like, well, was it barbed wire?
Paint the scene.
He's like, was it barbed wire or concertina wire?
Yeah.
I was like, it was concertina wire, Chief. He's like, well, get that on there. Yeah. He's like, what'd you do? What direction were you coming? What'd you do when you got? I'm like, I jumped up on top of a Connex box and then climbed a tree. He's like, it's like he was Bob Ross. He's like, let's get that on there.
Just make them happy trees. I'm
get
convinced.
A little happy tree.
I'm convinced there's no board like a seal board with a bunch of seal guys on it,
Chiefs
because
board?
it's powerful, but there's also like this. There's an intensity and also like this like underlying humor sometimes. Yeah. But there's this. One of the senior chiefs walked outside of my first board, and he said, dude, I wish we would have had that on fucking camera. He's like, because that's how you own a board, dude. Because I walked in and I was like, dude, I was fucked up. I should have left. I didn't. You see what happened? And there was no getting out of it. But the ownership piece in the teams, I think military, any fucking institution, organization, owning it's the best way to go.
It's the only way to go.
There's no other from the top down. And I'll tell you what I saw in France, which was a little different, which was people ask me sometimes what the two differences are. The French officers, there's zero ownership. There's a lot of saving face. It's a completely different philosophy than I came from in the teams, which was...
Where does that come from in the Legion?
I think it comes from the fact that you have the officers from the St. Cyr, their academy. Yeah. And it's kind of a prestigious thing. They're officers, but they're dealing with foreigners. So I think there's that old tradition of like, they're just fucking foreigners. The language isn't good, but they save face. There's not a lot of passed down information of like what was fucked up on an exercise or an operation. Nothing. There's no trickle down of any of that. I didn't see any of that. Maybe I'm sure they had their own meetings, but it was never bred down. Versus in the teams where you'll have a debrief and you'll have from the top down go, hey, this is what I fucked up. This is what I fucked up. No, I fucked that up, sir. That wasn't you. It was like goes all the way down. It was a completely different philosophy, and it was very kind of frustrating because you can't learn anything that way. Wasn't all the time, wasn't every fucking guy, but generally as an institution, that's how they roll.
How do you evolve as an institution if you don't?
I think they're kind of slow to move. I think they're slow to move, and I think that there's not a lot of overlapping SOPs. It's elements, pockets. Like you'll have good sergeants and maybe a good officer, and then they'll be kind of their own unit, but there's no cross-decking of like, hey, this is how we do in AAR. This is how we do this across the institution. So it's just luck of the draw. If you get in a good troop or something, tough. It was frustrating, man, because you don't get a lot of information. They don't change tactics. They're not as quick to move on that type of shit. It's a little bit different of an organization. Yeah,
the Chiefs board. It is funny what you remember and what you don't. I remember to this day. So there was the Bob Ross dude letting me to fucking, and they would take turns because, of course, each of them has fucking commentary. And I don't know. I was never a Chief, so I never got to sit in there. I don't know if they actually just knew the deal and how they were going to work the questions or they pre-gamed it. But they're fucking hammering me on my decisions. And one guy was being very like, I am a fucking, just like, you're a fucking idiot piece of shit. Yeah. And I'm still just owning it. But all the other Chiefs, when I'm answering, they're just like, yes. And then the next guy would answer, and his fucking mood would shift to, like, you're a piece of shit. And the guy who was just eating my lunch was just like, yes. Like, what the fuck? And by the end, I had it was the fucking size of that TV of whiteboard. And then they're like, well, what were you thinking in this moment? And I'm like, I was fucking drunk. Like, one of the last things, I was hanging off the side of a building covered up by a tree because I thought if the cops followed me on the roof, they wouldn't be able to see my hands. So I'm fucking hanging there. And then I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm too tired to climb back up. So I just let go. And I fell through the tree, landed on the concrete right in front of my platoon. Who picked me up, switched out my shirt, and we went across the street.
No way.
They must have asked me, they're like, what do you mean you just fell right in front? I'm like, listen. I fucking fell through a tree. I had time to roll up the windows, flat on my back. Didn't hurt myself because I was so fucking drunk.
Just soft landing.
In front of all of my mentors and people I thought walked on water. They picked me up. They fucking switched my shirt out, and we went and kept drinking.
What were you guys doing in Tucson? What was it? What's out in Tucson?
Close air support. We were working with, I think, what was it probably at the time? F-16s and A-10s from Davis-Monthan.
Yeah.
And the last day of training we were supposed to have canceled because the squadron had something to do. So we went to a fucking strip club at like 10 a.m.
Yeah,
and that's what started that day.
Yep.
And again, I'm underage, so a dude in the platoon just picked me up on his shoulder and just fucking walked in the door. And nobody said anything to him. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, it was insane. And then it got a lot more serious with the fucking XO and CO.
Yeah. But Team 5, dude, I mean, that was all Team 5, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Team 5's got its reputation.
That was Team 5 98.
It had a fucking reputation, man. I mean, they still got a reputation, and it's, tough on new guys, tough, train hard, fight hard, fucking party hard. It's the tough team, man.
It wears on you.
Yeah. I mean, we were right next door. I was at 7, so we got a little bit of that bleed over. I was like, damn, man.
Were you guys in the new building?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like 7, probably.
It was combined, right?
06. Yeah, it was Team 5 and 7 were right next to each other in that new building, kind of.
Which they built in, like, basically where we used to play volleyball at old Team 5. It just used to be that old outring of buildings.
Dude, I don't think the culture in the West Coast, I mean, is fucking awesome. I mean, just the location.
Yeah.
Get to go run on the beach, the shirt off. You're doing all your gear with the shirt off. The
East Coasters think that, they're better because their weather sucks, and so they don't have those opportunities. Yeah. It's like, listen, randomly you got to sign the team you went to. Because I put 2, 4, and 8 on my dream list and got fucking Team 5. So, because I was from the West Coast, Santa Cruz, like we talked about, I'm like, I've never spent time on the East Coast. They're telling me this is a fucking dream sheet in second phase. 2, 4, 8, and we're out on the island getting hammered because, God forbid, not like We actually did drink later that night.
Yeah.
That's a different story. But we were getting remediated on the beach, and we couldn't figure out why. And they put us all into little pockets, and then they told you, hey, your pocket is going to whatever team. And they're like, you're going to Team 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's not what I put.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, yeah, man. You ended up coming back to
3.
You ended up coming back to 3, and you were also an instructor out on the island at some point, right? Did I hear that right?
No, so I went Team 5. Screened after my second platoon at Team 5 out to the East Coast, came back, was a BUDS instructor from mid 06 to September 30th of 08 when I got commissioned.
Yeah.
Over to Team 10 and then finished as an ops guy at Trident afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, so a little bit of bouncing back and
What's
forth.
that like coming back? I never really got a chance to like ask some of you Dev Group cats like coming back as an instructor after really operating at the fucking pinnacle, in terms of funding and all this stuff, and yet now you're coming back to teach, at really rudimentary levels. It's got to be
the funding was dope.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean it's got to be kind of an interesting. Not to mention your deployment fucking pace, and then coming back and now you're instructing kids coming through and teams, just younger guys with.
It's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How does that go down? Are they like, hey, you're being voluntold to fucking go back?
I got injured in February of 2005. And for clarity, I spent the minimum, you are obligated to 4 years after selection. I spent the minimum amount of time there. I know guys who have spent a decade plus, there are 2 decades. Those guys, like we're talking 24 deployments and shit. Like I did, in comparison to those guys and into most people, I didn't do a fuck all. I did my minimum requirement there, and in 2005 I got injured, and we had 2 kids at that point, so I come back. I remember, God, it was so fast too. So I got injured, flown to Balad in a helicopter to Germany on a medevac airplane, full to the fucking gills.
You took a round to got shot?
Yeah. That medevac flight from Balad to Germany, that aircraft was fucking neck to tail, side to side, multiple people high in fucking stretchers, dude.
Damn.
That was, and they were.
Holy fuck! Was that because of
it was just
Fallujah and
that was the collection
time?
Point from anywhere in that country that was.
Wow, dude, that's heavy.
Yeah,
and you think like 100 people, like 80, 70, something like it, 50 maybe.
I was experimenting with heavy narcotics at the time.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Yeah, not really tracking on. Yeah,
no, because me and another guy. Who a lot of people recognize as Tyler Gray.
Oh yeah.
He was on the.
He was at the unit.
I was on a deployment with them.
Oh, so okay. You guys were linked up.
Yeah, and hopefully I'm going to have him on soon. Because
that'd be cool.
People are like,
that's got to be so cool. Weird to talk to him.
People don't realize that we know each other and have known each other for years and stay in contact. Like,
that's wild.
You need to talk to this guy. I think he was on target. I'm like, yeah, I shared a fucking.
Yeah, you're like, I fucking know him, dude. Yeah.
So it was me and him and a JSOC doctor.
Yeah.
I was getting all the good juice.
Yeah.
So I just said to the doc, I'm like, can you put me the fuck out? Because a lot of those people were very awake and in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Yelling.
And if you can hear that over the fucking the
it's loud.
Engines,
fuck, dude, that sucks.
Well, you land at the airport and then it's a school bus modified to hold stretchers.
Yeah.
Over a bumpy road.
Fuck.
To the hospital. And we're talking people with have like erector sets and shit holding stuff together.
Dude, just ratchet. Oh, dude. They're all banged up.
And they're getting lifted out of stretchers, and people are doing the best jobs that they can. But and we ended up at our own wing, me and Tyler. God, that guy's a fucking. He had nurses giving him massages and fucking eating Jello. I'm just like, what the fuck? Good on him. And I checked myself out and got on a Delta flight and came home.
Really?
Yeah. And then had the command's aircraft, I think it was New York, is where I didn't even go to fucking customs. I got out of the fucking airplane on the gangway, like the sky bridge. There were 2 people waiting for me. They're like, sir, come with us. Got down, got into a command aircraft, flew into Naval Air Station Oceana. Wheels come down, or the stairs come down, and my wife at the time is there with one child in a stroller, pregnant with our second kid. Who was born about 6 months later.
Damn.
So there was some fucking family issues. The recovery sucked. And I basically had worked a deal with the current Master Chief. I'm like, can you guys just give me a fucking year off to like just rehab. I'll go down to the airloft because I fell in love with jumping. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go help out here. I'll do whatever I can do. Just give me a year off and I'll come back and I'll stay for as long as I can.
Let me get the family in my body.
Totally.
Let me get some shit set.
Well, as you've probably experienced, there was a change in leadership at the fucking E9 level.
Yeah, that was the old deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he tells me that. The guy tells me that. And I remember crutching up to his office. And he's sitting there in his khakis, which you and I, but you can get a visual snapshot of kind of like the fucking salad of what people have and what they've done. I'm like, I get your rank. I get that. I'm looking at the other stuff. And in the course of the conversation, he basically says, you haven't done enough to deserve some time off.
Damn.
And I remember looking at him and I said, well, looking at your rack,
damn,
it seems to me like I've done a fucking hell of a lot more than you have in my limited time. I had orders out of the command shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
As the E6, you lose that battle with the E9.
Yeah.
So, they let me pick, and the options were limited, and second phase instructor was where I ended up going. But to answer your question about what it was like, it took some getting used to.
Yeah.
It's a completely different environment, but I look back on it and I'm glad I had that time. It gave me time to get my head right. And it was probably the place that I didn't want to go. It was the single most rewarding duty station I had in 17 years.
That's saying a lot. What was it about? What was it? You seem like you'd be a fucking brutal instructor, dude.
You'd have to ask the students. I was fair.
Yeah.
But the standard, no, I was fair. Like the standard is the standard though.
Yeah.
It's just, everything that didn't make sense when you went through, you go back and it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And you can see that you actually have a hand in molding what the future of the community is going to look like.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
It's just cool. It's really cool. It is a break. You can kind of like explore and do other things. Can kind of just
I breathe for a minute.
Take a breath. Be like a groundhog. Pick your head up a little bit. Like fuck. Like what are we gonna do next?
Yeah, I could see because dude, your rhythm was the wave. I mean, you're screening right after 9/11. Just because I just kind of scoping on the timeline, going, damn, trying to get a little information on you, and I was like, holy fuck, screening, in October 01, then hitting, and so that
they told us had a green team early to start deploying.
Yeah, that high speed train, dude. I mean, you're literally in the train from fucking 1 to 5.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the rhythm and the deployment cycle and the training cycle and all that shit.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then but I can see how that could be, dude, I don't know how dudes do it with family and kids and stuff.
The divorce rate isn't what it is because of...
Well, they say it's like 135%, including second marriages, but, getting back, that had to be, what did you live in like Coronado or down in Silver Strand
Eventually, we did live in base housing, which, God, that is a...
What'd you think about that? Is there any positives to it?
Doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, like...
Easy, convenient.
It was cool. I had 3 young kids. So my daughter was born in La Jolla. We sold our house in Virginia Beach as the market was peaking.
Yeah.
And we bought our house in fucking... Santee was where we bought our first house coming back. I think the day before the market crashed. So immediately underwater. That was fucking spectacular.
Yeah.
So we had to rent that bitch out for 10 years to even break. I think I wrote a small check on that when we sold it.
Damn.
And I put in for base housing, and we got it when I was an instructor. The commute to work was short, dude. You're on the beach. It was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you're a little nucleus of just only military, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's good for people to constantly have a foot in both.
Yeah, I agree. You get stuck in this echo chamber.
Yeah, I don't think that's good in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that the guys in the team specifically, probably any military unit, definitely soft units, you're stuck in this. You go to work, you come back, you're hanging out with your crew, same people all the time, and then never, ever getting anything in the civilian sector other than a bar or fucking whatever else is going on.
But you're at the bar with your same people.
Yeah, I know.
So you go to work and you talk about work. You come home and you end up talking about work with the same people you were at work with. It's I've seen it. I'm sure you have too. People get lost in that career. It's just a job.
Yeah.
Probably the same thing with the Legion too. I mean, you're only the second Legionnaire I've ever talked to. The other guy was Joel Struthers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if you stay in anything too long, it can define you. I've seen that with people who do real estate or doctors or lawyers or bankers. It's, I don't know, man. I'd rather just have it be what I did, not who I am. Yeah,
that's a powerful thing. And that's something that, I mean, somebody said to me the other day, I forget it was online or something. They're like, man, Andy seems like he did had a pretty smooth transition. And so, Well, that's why I don't know. This is just something somebody said to me because they're seeing it from like, the professional things you've done. And I'll tell you,
I'll start posting pictures of me crying on the toilet
on
the down days.
And that's something I had. My first transition out of the teams was fucking colossal failure, and I had to go back in. And so the second time I got to do it, the first time, man, I got out. I did a pretty good lateral step because it was like the train was coming, and I knew I was getting out. I actually failed a PED test. That's what I ended up fucking getting kicked out for.
What were you taking?
Was all the stuff pretty much. I think I lit it up like a fucking Christmas tree, and I was like, fuck, man. And so Navy JAG sent it to Olympic Testing Center, but that's really what I got.
How did they highlight you though? Because
I got in a fight, and so they saw the police report. I had pulled out some tasers and fought off a dog, and they're like, he's definitely on performance enhancing. They didn't read well. Let me just say it, at a Jimmy Buffett concert, and so it was a whole thing.
We're going to go ahead and you're going to tell a little bit of that story because don't think you're going to avoid golf cart tasers and dog.
It was
dude. It was while you were in.
I was in, and I had just got back from Iraq. We were south of Mosul prepping for that whole offensive. Had a pretty good deployment, but was coming back to a jury trial for that old shit.
The bar
thing, which was like 2 years old at this point, getting sued for $500,000 on this. It was just a whole colossal shit. But on the military side, it had all been cleaned up. Now they're just kind of waiting. Ended up clearing that up, getting misdemeanors, staying in, get busted down, but things are good. I have a stretch, I fuck up again, and then I'm really on the chopping block. The team's like, they were good with me. They're like, dude, we have no more room.
Yep.
So I was getting my affairs together. But now Navy JAG's like, this fucking dude, I have a top secret clearance and all this shit. They're like, we're going to get him. But those charges all got washed away because they all got dropped and stuff. They're like, no, we're getting him for something. And they drug tested me, passed, no issues. But they're like, all right, well, you're steroid testing. And I had this moment where I had a fake dick in my locker. And I was like, for Saturday nights, no. And I go, but I had this because
Michael was immediately parking.
And
he was over there drawing pictures and just like, what?
Yeah, man. And I had this, and maybe I shouldn't have, but but it was
this
just
for your analysis date?
Yeah, it was for because I had heard they might steroid test, and so I had this thing prepped, and I had this moment. And I went, you know what, dude? I fucking made this bed. I'm going to charge this machine gun nest. I was like, fuck it. And I put it down. And I went and took the test, man, and fucking failed. And I remember it being like a really like pinnacle moment of like, dude, I'm just going to own this thing and see how fate goes. And I'm really glad I did, actually. But that was so I'm getting out, right? And so I get out, and I did a lateral step, like pretty good, into for a private residential developer on the largest project down in Skya, down in Chula Vista, $750 million project. I'm like the number 2 guy, doing well.
Construction? You went teams to construction?
Teams to like supervising construction because I was interested in real estate development. Okay. I've always been interested in it. And I used some contacts, guys from, country clubs and things I had met, and just ended up working out. Had a really good year, but dude, I had no governor now. And so I started taking Adderall, Xanax, just all these bad habits started stacking, which I never had done in the teams, right? Because, you're training, it just wasn't, I'm like, oh, I'm off, I can work better. And then now I'm drinking at night every day, could take the edge off. And now I'm at the gym at 5 p.m., still going to the gym, still doing all this shit so I could lie to myself, I'm like disciplined-ish. And my fucking world, just, you can't bend reality like that. Yeah. And my world came crashing down, man. I had the nice house and the girlfriend by the beach. Whole world came crushing down. Now I'm find myself pretty much homeless in my truck, man. I'm on the big island of Hawaii because I had just popped smoke because I had stacked on a fentanyl habit in between all this.
How did you get started on fentanyl?
Well, I was taking opiates. And then I found out fentanyl was stronger. And so I'm like snorting this shit at night, dude. Doing work emails all night. Not like fucking off, but I'm like doing this shit while writing work emails till 3 a.m, and then raising capital for multiple businesses and actually having a lot of success in a high rise now downtown and fucking working for a venture capitalist. And then it all came crashing down. I was just running so 2 years to the day almost from when I get out of the teams to this point. I'm homeless in my fucking car after everything had fucking fallen apart. Sawed off shotgun on the fucking passenger seat. Sitting there going, dude, I'm just fucking tired, man. I was like, dude, I can't do this anymore.
I was going to ask you, and I don't want to interrupt your story,
but
I want to know, in the middle of all that, when you were doing all that, how did you feel about yourself when you looked at yourself in the mirror in the morning?
Dude, I didn't give myself time. I didn't give myself time to even think about it.
Really?
I was completely
It was just always on to the next thing.
That's how I think I shelved it. I didn't take any time to process me losing my entire fucking dream, which I had since I was 7. And I didn't give any time to process, okay, I'm doing this or my relationships or all the chaos that starts to happen when you're not living aligned. And so if I did have some moments, I really don't even remember having that. That's how much I lack self-awareness. It was immaturity paired with fucking lack of self-awareness paired with selfishness. It was like a trifecta of shit.
Dude.
That's what I was dealing with. And then it all kind of came crashing down. And then I had no title, no money, realized, I had sold my shares in the company that we had started. There was like a cannabis distribution company we had started out in Palm Springs and building out facilities and doing all this stuff, man. And now it was all gone. And I realized I actually dropped Jimmy off at the fucking airport because he was there running from the feds. I have like ATF and DEA up my ass with no money. And I dropped him off at the fucking airport. And I literally drove from dropping him off at the airport. He was there for a week to like let some shit cool down. And I drove into the jungle, man, right near where the volcanoes are erupting on the Big Island, way out in the fucking rural. Because I was like, I just need some time to think for a minute. Like, and that phone call always comes, at the 11th hour, right? Yeah. And the phone call didn't come. It was dead quiet. And I sat there and I went, oh, man, dude, this is all me. I had this moment. That was going back to your ownership part. Everything was somebody else's fault. I got fucked here or this or the girlfriend or that or it was, and then this moment I had nobody else to point to. There was nobody else there, man. And I fucking had this moment where I went, well, I'm not going to fucking kill myself because, dude, I thought of my mom, my sister. I was like, I'm not leaving that damage for them. Like I was raised pretty much by a single mom. My dad had his struggles after getting out of the Marine Corps and stuff. I grew up on a Chinook base in Tustin is like what actually brought us out there. But I was like, dude, I'm not going to do that to them. So if that's the case, I was like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to do it with my boots on at least. I was like, maybe they're going to send me back over. So I fucking 8 days later, I fucking was I took 2 fast cash $500 loans out to get a one-way ticket to France, man. And that's how I ended up knocking on the French Foreign Legion door.
Before we get into the Legion, where does one source a fake dick?
Dude, you'd be shocked what you can find on Google, man. Just Google fake.
As I'm listening to your story, I'm like, there's some very key things we have to come back to.
Dude,
like
the straps, man. It was doing too much, bro. It was like a whole thing, dude. Dude, I heard a funny story. I won't say which unit, and I won't say where, and I won't say who told me, but they're like this big black dude. He was in one of these units, and they were doing a piss test, and he's like, fuck. Damn it. And the dude busts out. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, give me that fake dick, man. He's like, dude, it's white. He goes, I don't care. And he's doing the MA. And he busts it out. And the MA's like, what the fuck? He's like, don't say, you ain't going to say nothing, motherfucker.
Oh, God. If people understood how fucked up we were in the military, they would never trust us with machine guns.
Dude, it's amazing, right? That the two-sided coin to a lot of guys, it's like, I'm sure you've seen a fuck ton. There's like guys that you're like, this guy is a fucking loose cannon. And then you'll see him clear a house or shoot or something and just absolute focus and just professionalism on it's pretty impressive.
It's impressive, but I come back to the question, would you rather have a guy that could perform at 90% of that dude, but his life was squared away?
Yeah.
Or do you keep the guy who's a rock star on target and manage the juggling grenades?
Dude,
like what it comes down to.
You got better experience with that. I don't know. You tell me. I mean, the longevity wise, I mean, you see, like in my case, man, I didn't have the long, I was in the teams for 7 years and some change, and it got cut short because it's like some good football player, fucking stud, but off the field, if you fuck it up, now you're not on the field.
So that's where I land on, I think, for the health and welfare of both the community, but more importantly, the guy afterwards. I'd rather take the guy who's slightly less tactically competent, but isn't in his 4th marriage and credit card debt with a drinking problem and an affinity for fucking strippers named Destiny.
Yeah, because that catches up. You can't bend reality that long. It's got a fucking timeline, man.
Well, and people have to remember whether you and I like it or not, the job titles that we had will carry with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So I can try to do everything I can to not distance myself from it, but to try to be more than that. But I guarantee you, if I were to ever make national news,
that's the first thing that would be
100 fucking %.
That's a really good point. You're representing more than you.
So it carries with you whether you wanted to or not. So the guy who is, and I worked with quite a few of these guys who were like literally fucking juggling grenades with a pin 3/4 out.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there's a reason why, ex-Navy SEALs are SEALs. When we make the news, Jimmy's a good example. It's generally a pretty big story.
Yeah. It's not half-assed.
Speaking of a mutual friend, it's like we go fucking nuclear.
Yeah.
And that has cascading consequences and a ripple effect. And at that point, they're no longer, they're not beholden to the SEAL community anymore. But the reality is that name will travel with them.
Yeah, trails.
I'd rather have the guy that is B+, but a solid human being than an A+ on target and a fucking D- as a person.
Yeah, it's sustainability.
Yeah,
it's sustainability, and also which is something that I failed at that I had to take a look at later is now you're allocating resources to dealing with your shit, managing the fucking paperwork and the admin and the chief board and this and that. It's guys who could be training and doing something fucking else. Now you're taking away from that, and that's something that I had failed to see what these consequences lead to, and now they're down a qual, and now you're about to go out the door, and I'm sure you've seen that a lot throughout your career.
It was interesting being on the other side of the board. It was a lot more enjoyable than being the guy standing there. To be honest, fucking way less sweat inducing.
Yeah, fuck,
when you're just standing there trying not to fucking move around too much, but. Every person I saw, it goes back to the ownership piece. Every person that I saw, and this is going to depend on the severity of what you're there for, because there are things, like right now, an alcohol-related incident, you're going to get ejected whether you own it or not. But for things outside of that, every time I saw somebody come in there and take the path that you took, or the path that I tried to take with the chiefs and the XO and then the CO and just owned it, they survived.
Yeah.
The people who come in there and start pointing fingers,
fucked.
They start sliding shit across the table.
Yeah.
And it's not
as
a guarantee.
They should.
I agree. And it's not a guarantee because, like I said, if you're in there for
certain things,
I don't know, allegedly a guy might have served with a Team 5 who was selling guns to gangbangers. It's not a big deal, right? Take the serial number off first.
Yeah.
Actually, this fucking idiot. You remember, did you ever get issued a SIG that had like your platoon number on it? Like a 6 or like a 5?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when that's fucking found in the commencement of a crime in Los Angeles.
Fuck.
With
damn.
Why is there a 7 on this fucking SIG P226 with the serial number on it? Can be traced directly back to the dude in the armory.
Yeah.
Which then terminated in maybe a search warrant in his house that led to other things.
To a lot of shit. Yeah.
That go bang.
Damn. Fuck.
This is all late 90s.
Yeah.
Good times.
I mean, he's still doing time for that, I bet. Fuck.
I would have to look it up. And I don't want to give Michael his name, even though I remember it, because...
Yeah,
I
get it. Yeah, well, I get it, man. But dude, it is wild, and sometimes you think you're like, man, I'm in here for some bad shit, and then you hear some shit like that, you're like, you know what? I made a mistake, but at least it wasn't that.
Dude, the honor man in my buds class is still in prison.
Dude.
Ben Seifert.
I think I saw you on Rogan talking about this. Holy shit, what the fuck was up with that, dude?
I don't know, but he has mandatory parole in a few years. I might try to sit down with him. First,
damn.
Question 1. Hey, man, what the fuck?
What the fuck was going on? Like, how is that a hobby? It's just fucking strange, man. And what was weird about that wasn't his chick involved too?
Yes.
That to me is probably the weirdest part. I can get a guy being fucking weird. Like, I don't understand it, but I can get it.
Yeah.
But then to meet somebody else that fucked up.
To carve people up, put them into garbage bags, and dump them at a variety of grocery store garbage cans, dumpsters, because he used to work at grocery stores and he knew the velocity with which they switched them out. Did you hear about how they got caught? It's the best part.
No. How'd they get? That's a fucking crazy story.
So they're real Jason and Janet Bourne couple. Ben Seifert and whatever the fuck is.
Yeah.
They're divorced. But the marriage didn't last in
prison.
prison.
It didn't last. Yeah.
Spoiler alert for everybody. Fuck. They were stealing T-shirts from a Hooters.
Oh my God.
In the middle of the night. I think the alarm went off, like a silent alarm. So police responded to them stealing T-shirts. I want to say they were in like a fucking Jeep Wrangler or some shit.
Yeah.
In her purse was a spider coat that had human flesh and hair on it, and the fucking driver's licenses of the 2 victims.
Jesus, bro. That's like divine intervention shit. Or, you know, of like, hey, these people need to be brought up.
Hooters.
What the fuck?
What do you do with shirts that you steal from
They
Hooters?
they just needed to do weird shit. They were just weirdos.
They were definitely into butt play.
Yeah, they were doing some weird shit.
Yeah,
like
he was
had
getting
to
pegged on the regular for sure.
I mean, they're just like people that. It's just odd, man. It's very odd for those two people to meet to be that spun out together.
Well, think about it even deeper, right? You're in a relationship. I'm on my second marriage.
Yeah.
I share everything with my wife.
Yeah.
How would you, like, if you were to pitch to your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Are you guys married now?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, engaged.
We're going to call her your wife.
Yeah.
How would you pitch to your wife, hey, I have a fantasy that I haven't told you about yet, hoping you're into this too.
Yeah.
Let's cut people up in a bathtub.
Yeah.
How would you do that? Would you do that a morning coffee thing, or would you do that?
That's what I think about. Like, when did it come up? And then it goes, yeah. It's
like,
fucking weird.
Do you catch them, you're making coffee in the morning and you see them and they're on the computer and the website's like whatever, or they're watching a YouTube video of like an unsolved mystery and you're like,
what
hey.
if we did that?
Or like, oh, does that interest? How the fuck?
Yeah. How does it develop?
Do you get to, because the couple,
they were down in Tijuana or something, huh?
No.
Or they
were on the East Coast. Michael, look this up. Wasn't it in
I
Maryland?
remember there also being a fucking team guy that was going down to TJ or some shit, killing people. That was another thing.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
So it's
fucking crazy, man. It's insane.
Worcester County, Maryland.
Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Okay, Maryland. So they brought the couple. They were at a bar and they got them back to their apartment.
Yeah.
So there was like such a level of premeditation. How do you have those conversations that leads to that?
Damn, I didn't realize it was that. I didn't realize they were like in the United States. Fucking.
Yes. So if you were to pitch
it's crazy that they'd even got away with it a handful of times.
I think it was only that one time.
Or once, fuck, but still.
If I pitched that idea to my wife, I would expect her to go to the cops.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, any normal person would, or would leave.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm with a fucking complete psychopath. And that's why it's strange that somebody would be receptive to that. That is the most weird part of the story, is because the percentages of people that would be receptive to that are fucking way, way, way low, 0 point something.
Well, I had a guy on recently. We haven't let the episode out, but he was the head of the FBI's behavioral sciences unit. He was a profiler.
Yeah.
And I had always heard there's between 12 to 18 serial killers active in the U.S.
Yep.
He goes, nah, probably 50.
Damn.
So we're talking one per state.
Yeah.
Okay, that number
should
probably make people at least check their front door.
Yeah, but it's low. But it's low.
It's low.
Yeah.
What are the odds? Not that those
two people meet.
Yes.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy. Because I remember you telling that story on Rogan. I'm going, how the fuck did they meet?
I was in selection at Green Team, walking by a pinup board where they would put like the daily schedule, and I caught the title, and it stopped me in my tracks.
Damn,
like a record scratch. And I backed up and I read it,
and you're like,
that's the fucking honor man of my buds class.
Man, so he was just that that much of a sociopath that he was like squared away sailor fucking.
I don't know about your class. I remember the instructors saying, basically, it was the guy who failed the fewest evolutions in the fourth. You can attest to this. People think that BUDS is this like finishing CIA program where you come out crafted as a weapon.
Yeah.
You have sore hip flexors from doing fucking flutter kicks and a good set of abs for being in a caloric deficit.
Yeah.
You're not Jason Bourne coming out of there, so it wasn't this monumental feat. Cool, but
he had the ability to fucking hone in and get shit and pass shit.
He was weird. I remember
that's what I was gonna say. What was he like?
Quiet. He was quieter.
I bet he was.
Yeah.
He was thinking about his next murder.
Fucking wearing people's skin like a leotard over at 6'18".
Yeah, he's tucking his dick on. It puts the lotion on its skin, dude.
Where I fuck up is I tell my wife these things, like these inside thoughts that I have about him. I'll tell her, and she just looks at me like,
she's like, dude,
what the fuck is wrong with you?
Where'd you meet your wife?
Jiu-Jitsu.
Really?
Yeah. She's a world-class jiu-jitsu athlete, and she's the main kids coach.
How long did it take you to get your black belt?
5.5 years, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty quick though.
I had more time to devote to it. There's two ways you can look at the time, because
you started while in the teams, or
fuck no, I found out when I was 40.
Wow, no shit.
Yeah, the timing aspect. Most people say 10 years to a black belt, and I've talked to a lot of coaches about this. This is somebody who comes like Tuesday, Thursday, every week for 10 years.
Yeah,
I could go twice a day for 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah, you were going a lot.
And if you actually...
That's your personality, too. You're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it.
It was also my schedule. It allowed me to do that. So if you add up those 2 buckets of time, they actually end up being the same thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it pisses people off, and it shouldn't, but it's like... Dude,
it's like, how many classes are you going to?
Yeah.
How many sessions?
Yeah, the math
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I met her there, and I think it was about once every month when we first got married, she'd ask me what's wrong with me, and then it was like once a week. It's about every day now.
Yeah. Man, that's pretty cool, man. Have you had any knee injuries or anything with it?
No.
Wow.
I tore my pec on my right-hand side a little bit, rolling with a 15-year-old.
Really?
You know, they tell you to relax, and I'm here to tell you can relax too much. It was the last roll of the day. We had been on the mats with...
Wow, you can relax too much, yeah.
Oh, well, I wasn't defending myself.
Yeah.
I had just been rolling with for an hour with just savage fucking black belts, like fighting for your life.
Yeah.
And it was my buddy's son, one more roll. And I was letting him work, and he got a hold of my arm, and he didn't.
And you were just like, and he just...
And he heard it go, and I heard it go, and I went into the bathroom to like go change, and I came out, and he was just white and sweating. I'm like, dude, it is not your fault.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, because I was worried he was going to have like a negative association with it. He's fine, but... That is about it. No knee issues, nothing like that.
Yeah, I was up in Santa Cruz, Claudio Franco Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and was
Claudio.
practicing. And I was in a white belt tournament with another, obviously white belt, a wrestler.
The most dangerous tournament.
Yeah, dude.
Ever,
And I had done Muay Thai, not like fucking super good or anything, but I've done Muay Thai, had done some stand-up. I was like, I'm going to get on the Jiu-Jitsu match. Like, let's do this. And dude, I had pretty much just started with couple months or something, and I was in this little match, and dude, he had me in closed guard, and I was standing up and just kind of like pushing. He was pulling on one way, and I heard my little subluxation of the patella, and dude, I was like crutching around Santa Cruz campus, which, as you know, they were riding me around in the fucking short bus to class, but I had a lateral release. It was fine. Structure of the muscles a little different, but I went back on the mat after just to kind of shake the fear, but I still have some fear wrapped up in jiu-jitsu because of that.
My wife has had 2 knee surgeries. She has rolled, though, almost exclusively with men because it's a male-dominated sport. I believe her injuries have both come from rolling with men. It's interesting to see what happens when a woman will out-technique a man, and they'll go back to their attributes, and that's how some of those injuries can occur.
Yeah, meaning strength, like just
strength, or just torquing something like the knee joint. It's designed to bend in one direction. Yeah, and especially with that lateral, like top-bottom. Yeah. So she's had 2 knee surgeries. I don't know, Michael, how are your knees? You've been at it for 5 years.
My left
Actually,
knee,
you have had a knee injury.
Yeah, a couple, but that's all from judo, which is why I don't do judo anymore.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I could see how the throws and stuff would be.
A lot of it is you get your weight underneath them. And were your knee injuries from like an entanglement?
No, so it was from originally I had.
Do not say a fucking Japanese word, because I don't know what fuck it means.
For this throw, you have to. Have to really,
he was about to say a Japanese word. What was the word you were about to say?
It's Ashigarami, I think.
Yeah.
But for this throw, you really extend your leg outward.
Oh, did it come down on top?
It came down on top. Yeah, and I think it was I think it was my patella, the same thing you had, where it was a pop.
Yep.
And
man, what a shit feeling.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just that awkward. I never had a problem with it with buds and with the lunges, but I still notice it. It's probably
lunges
85.
are pretty linear.
Yeah, it's I notice it just in the strength. Like I'm aware of it.
Yeah. You can train. It's about finding the right training partners. Like, dude, I'm way closer to 50 than I am 40 at this point. Yeah. Find the right training partners, and the culture of the gym too. Like, fortunately, where we train, it's a super chill culture.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking hobbyist, right? Yeah. People will get pissed. You shouldn't be able to get a I'm like, who gives a fuck? By the way, because I'm a fucking aggressive hobbyist.
Why would they? What would they be their reasoning for? What's their argument based on?
It is based on
like they think it was too fat.
Their own velocity.
Yeah,
it's
their own frame of reference,
correct.
And they're projecting it out like, well, it's that. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So don't worry about other people's journeys.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, dude, I do more work than you. I'm just more focused.
Kalispell has an airport. The gym allows for open mat. Come get some.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you do Like tournaments and shit?
No, I'm an aggressive hobbyist.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious. Like, how does that work?
I competed once as a white belt and once as a purple belt. I did it as a purple belt because my wife was going there to coach, and I was like, fuck it, I'll sign up.
What do you think the difference is between a purple belt and a black belt?
Other than the belt?
Yeah, other than the belt. But like in terms of like how much better can a black belt be than a purple belt?
I have black belts that I roll with where I question whether or not we're playing the same sport.
Wow, it's like that.
They fuck me up so bad.
Yeah.
That I start laughing.
Yeah.
Like, one guy I train with consistently, his name is Henry Akins. He will get me into positions where I literally start laughing, and then he starts laughing. I'm like, bro, I don't know what the fuck you want me to do. I am so trapped. And then he'll show me, and then the motherfucker will keep rolling. He'll keep funneling me into that same spot until I recognize how to get out of it. Yeah. Which, by the way, when I do, he fucking traps me in some other bullshit.
And he's good enough to get you into that same, even though you know what's coming.
It's like, why? Yeah. How? I actually think that every time I train with him, like sometime later in the day, he has a moment of quiet reflection. He just says, I work with retards. Like, he's so far ahead.
Yeah, how good somebody can be.
So, and I've heard really high level coaches talk about this. Most of them will say there's more deviation at the black belt level than in every other belt, which is
that's interesting because it makes sense because you can be a black belt for fucking
once you get your black belt, and this is one thing I would say to people too. Don't be in a rush because once you get it, that's the belt you have for the rest of your life. You're
that's a good point.
Lose that, like, hey, what's the next thing? In 3 years, you get a piece of fucking tape, and that doesn't change anything.
That's a good point.
Purple belt to black belt. I'm not a coach, by the way, so I would say you have a much more refined sense of what your personal game is, and you probably have stripped away a lot of stuff. Like
the ego and all the other stuff. And
no, I mean like technique.
Okay.
A lot of black belts have something that they like, a pathway that they like to go down. Like, have an A, B, and C game. Mm-hmm. At purple belt, I think you're still just like drinking from a hose. And then at brown belt, you are refining your personal game, and then at black belt, I would say you have it pretty well refined. But my jiu-jitsu is super simple. I don't do any complicated, like, multi-step movement stuff. I mean, Michael can tell you my favorite thing to do. I just lay on people.
Yeah.
Like, fucking.
Because I remember reading a thing that Chuck Liddell was saying, because I know he came from a wrestling background. Yeah. And I remember him saying something in an article about he got to purple belt, and then he was like, and he might have just not wanted to. He was like, I pretty much learned what I needed to learn for his fighting game, and I was like, that makes sense. I could see you're like, okay, I'm just going to pull these pieces and focus on other pieces.
You're going to have been exposed to probably every technique that you would be exposed to at black belt. You would just have less time in the saddle.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't go get that time in the saddle on your own.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it may be different pathways or a little bit of, put your hand here or apply pressure there, but you have a pretty good idea of the general concepts.
Yeah. What's your, like, training rather than rolling? Like, obviously you're lifting weights, and like, what's your diet and shit looking like?
A fucking weight.
Really? You're not lifting weights at all?
So I worked for CrossFit for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And I actually have come to the realization that it was amazing, and I was working out super hard, but I was always near the competitive athletes, like the CrossFit Games athletes. And it was like, I fell into the trap of comparing my performance to theirs.
Yeah.
And you just get fucking destroyed. You're like, how are you moving that weight? So I'll go heavier. I just kind of got like barbell fatigue.
Yeah, I get it.
Not like in the workout, but like, I just want some time away from it.
CrossFit does that to me in general. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And it's especially, there's freaking natures out there, and I totally get it. We're all competitive motherfuckers, and you're like, dude, I don't know if the flexibility's not there or what it is, the power, man. Some of these guys
But you go hard until you kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do both when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, because people would say one of the keys to jiu-jitsu is relaxing. So I'm like, all right, I'll fucking crush myself in the gym before class.
Yeah.
Because then I won't have a choice but to relax.
Yeah.
And then I was just sick because I was just
destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I finally put it down a couple years ago. I need to get back into it because you do need to have a strength and conditioning aspect to it. But most of the time, dude, I just roll. I mean, I train and I roll.
I mean, you look pretty dialed. That's why when I saw you, it looked like you had put on some muscle, like even from other things that you had done. I was
the
like,
TRT.
Yeah. Well, it looked athletic. That's why I was asking if you're doing like weights.
I stay super busy. I mean, I pick shit up, but like weights and stuff like that. I need to get back into it though because
they got good any gyms here in Kalispell. Start a Black Rifle Coffee gym, bro.
Fuck that.
Get it.
I want to start another business.
No shirts allowed.
I want another fucking hole in my head. I'm trying to manage the ones that I currently do have. There's a couple good places to work out. But again, at this point, I'm into it for, my issue is this. I am my own worst enemy, because if I get in there, I will have to throttle myself back, because at this point for me, it's longevity. I want to have the most impactful, effective life, and it would be so easy for me to get in there and just destroy myself.
Just do some light bodybuilding shit, man, dude. I'm all about like the 15 reps.
Just fucking
you know, I mean, you don't got to wear the Speedo, man, but you could just be jacked, but light, like muscle contraction, time under tension, man, and just get in there and like fucking have fun moving shit around. You don't got to be, go full retard.
Yes, I do. When I see somebody lifting more weights than me, you immediately elbow them out of the way and pick up a fucking bigger.
Yeah, I mean, but, just strengthen the tendons up. But maybe it's not good for jiu-jitsu, to be more muscled up. It might be a detriment.
Pros and cons.
Yeah,
pros and cons. Muscle requires oxygen, whether you're using it or not.
Yeah.
So usually, what I actually will do with bigger guys is I'll pace it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to get a taste to see how their cardio's doing.
Yeah,
if you can tell,
And
if you can tell, like, Daddy's carrying a little extra weight in the trunk. Then you just cardio them out, and then eventually they're just like, fucking.
How was your running in buds and stuff? Like, are you a natural runner?
Pounds.
Are you a natural runner? Like,
fuck no.
Yeah.
No, I was 150 pounds in buds. Yeah. If you can't run when you're 150 pounds, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You should be able.
Can you run now? Like, I
have nerve damage from getting shot.
Yeah.
So
classic.
Yeah. And I think running promotes cowardice, so I don't think you should run. But no, I don't. It's literally outside activities, being outside. I mean, Montana offers 4 seasons to do shit you want to do, whether it's snowboarding or backcountry hunting or dual sport motorcycle riding, all that shit.
Yeah.
So I stay super active, but it is one of the things I know I have to bring back for sure.
Yeah. I mean, what's your food look like?
Not as good as it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I try to eat Whole Foods and shit like that. You're not tracking or nothing like that.
No,
just kind of.
If I can eat food that doesn't come out of a box, that's just natural food, my body responds really well.
Yeah, and you almost can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, but the other stuff,
especially
so
rolling
tasty.
that much.
Yeah,
I mean, you probably burn over 3,000 calories a day.
I don't know. I've worn the Whoop strap. I used to have one that went on my arm and a heart rate monitor. I don't trust the numbers.
Your maintenance has got to be at least 3.
I don't know, man. I don't trust the numbers.
Yeah, they always overestimate the numbers.
Yeah,
for sure. But I would bet you're at least 2,500 maintenance. 3. I mean, that's
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, rolling is fucking exhausting.
It actually gets easier the more you do it, unfortunately.
Really?
Because you'd be more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
You're not leaving drenched?
Oh, I'm leaving fucking drenched because people try to absolutely take my head off, and I'm an idiot. So, so I can give it right back to them. But I can tell. I mean, Michael, do you notice a difference in your output?
When I've eaten? Is that what you're talking about?
So you're just sitting over there not paying attention to the conversation, clearly.
No, I am.
Yeah. When you're rolling, do you notice that you are using, like if you did a solid hour open mat, when you first started, how wrecked you were versus like...
as you got better, has your level of exertion dropped?
It's, especially with, certain people, it's just like I'm not even breaking a sweat.
Really?
Yeah. Like
the efficiencies are unbelievable.
You just get better and better and better at it.
It's a lot of it is timing, so you can get ahead of people. The best is when you're not working and somebody else is dying.
Yeah, yeah, that was me all the time, bro. Maybe that's why it was so fucking hard.
Then you look at them and they're like panicked mouth breathing, and you're just casually breathing out of your nose.
That's frustrating as shit, dude. That is frustrating as shit.
But it's also, I look at that when people like Henry does that shit to me. My fuck, god damn it, it is like drowning on land. At least I know that that's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible for me.
Yeah.
But it is really cool to see that level of ability is possible.
I mean, you see guys going in there are decades and decades, and
dude,
I can't imagine the repetition and the reps that you get at just being better and better and better and better.
Yeah, like I said, it'll never be me, but it is cool to know that if you were to do it that long or you had that level of aptitude, you could potentially get there. It's fucking pretty sweet.
Dude, you got a bunch of hobbies, man, because, dude, what's with this helicopter treasure hunt and stuff? Like,
Hell
what am I... Dude, you've been popping them all on my feed, dude. Dude, it's all of it. I was like, treasure hunting, helicopters, bro. It's been on my YouTube a ton, man.
So I was at an event in Salt Lake. And obviously, I've been in the back of helicopters.
So what's going on in the helicopter world? I was going to ask you about that. Like, how did that start?
So I was at this event in Salt Lake, and a guy had an A-Star helicopter in his front yard. And he's like, hey, do you want to go for a flight? I'm like, sure. And like I said, thousands of hours of sitting in the back of a helicopter, never had any understanding or desire to understand what was going on up front.
Yeah.
So I sit up in the front left seat. The guy, turns the thing on. I'm like casually paying attention. I've had my fixed wing license since 2007.
Okay.
And a couple thousand hours of fixed wing time. So aviation wasn't new to me, but sitting up in front of a helicopter was. Gets the thing going, he takes it off, and we're flying a little bit over Salt Lake. And he goes, "Hey, do you want to fly?" I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
But also, you should probably keep
Give me
your
the
hands.
stick, yeah.
But also, maybe keep your hands on the controls, too. Maybe let me pretend like I'm flying, because I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And it was just cool. And it kind of reignited a passion for it wasn't a passion at that point. It reignited an interest in aviation again.
Yeah.
So I just got back up here and started researching helicopter schools. There was one, Red Eagle Aviation here, not far from where we're at. Kind of dove into that. And I just love learning new stuff.
Yeah.
I actually think it's the key to staying young.
Yeah. I mean, well, you sparked my fucking interest because dude, I always have been interested in helicopters, but just never really, I was doing shit. But now, stability and things are building, and I'm kind of looking around going, all right, man, dude. I'm like looking into
where you live, you have world-class flight schools.
Yeah, and I'm
all over the place.
What's the cost associated with what's the path of earning a helicopter license, and what does that look like?
So
it's like $100,000 or so.
No. It will
in time and all this shit.
It could be. It's going to be largely based off of the helicopter that you learn in.
Yeah.
The hourly rate of the helicopter. So you're probably going to have access to either a Schweitzer or a Robinson. What is the other one? A Cambria, something like that. I've never.
So you kind of can choose what the platform
and
is.
The price. I think the last two. I believe it's called a Cambria. The Cambria and the Robinson are going to be similar price. You'll probably spend $25,000 to $30,000.
That's not bad, though.
It's not bad. But then from there, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Right? It's, do you want to continue to fly? Because then you'd have to rent an aircraft from somebody. I was able to basically align with Black Rifle Coffee on what I wanted to do with the helicopter. So I was able to source it other than me having to write a check for it.
Yeah.
But up here just to create content, which is where the treasure hunt idea comes from.
Fucking awesome, man.
I'm just exploring Montana in a helicopter.
Yeah, dude. It's a trip, dude. You
Yeah.
pop it up on my YouTube. My fiance was checking it out, dude. I'm like, isn't the guy you're going to talk to? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And we have 3 more. So we dropped one of the Pelican cases, which was amazing because we're out there and I find this little island. I'm just hovering right off the island as people are climbing in and out, going to hide it. The next ones are going to be out in the mountains, but it's just cool, man. And I don't know how to do any of this stuff, but I'm figuring it out as I go. And I just love that learning process.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, just like Jiu-Jitsu, I will never be able to master it. Aviation is exactly the same thing. Just about the time you think you know what's going on, you're just going to get an uppercut and you're going to have to recalibrate.
Yeah. So say those guys that do charters in Hawaii or something, right?
Yep.
Those what type of license and what type of experience are those guys that are actually contracting for those companies? I mean, they got to have
tours?
Yeah.
Commercial license at a minimum, probably, and this is me totally talking out of my ass because I've never looked into it, but probably. Today's episode is brought to you by Element. If this is the first time you're hearing me talk about this, you are late to the electrolyte game. Element is a 0 sugar electrolyte drink mix, which comes in this packet right here, and it says right on here what you get. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. Now, this used to be the only way that you could get a hold of their electrolyte mix. But now, as we move along here in the read, it's the sparkling electrolyte water. Exactly the same thing on the side of this can. 1,260, and that's of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, respectively. And those levels are born from the growing body of research revealing that optimal health outcomes occur at sodium levels that are 2 to 3 times government recommendations. Each stick pack or sparkling water is going to deliver a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. Element is formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration and is perfectly suited for athletes, folks who are fasting, or those on a keto, low-carb, whole food, or paleo diet. Who uses this type of stuff? Olympians, professional athletes, special forces, or I should say special operations. For those of you who don't know, special forces specifically means Green Beret. I'm talking about special operations, the blanket that talks about all of the communities. Health experts, business leaders, and people like you and me, everyday hobbyist activists. I'm an aggressive hobbyist when it comes to jiu-jitsu. This is my absolute go-to after every class, especially when I'm drenched in sweat. And I've said this before, this isn't like a medical claim, but it feels like you can feel energy coursing back through your veins when you're putting back in those electrolytes that you lose after 2 hours on the mats. The difference in my recovery on the days that I have an element versus the days that I don't are palpable. In the summer months, they have a new lemonade flavor. It is by far my favorite flavor. I used to say watermelon, but lemonade, this thing is my go-to every morning with the drink I have in the morning. So tasty. I was a fan of lemonade growing up. It tastes so good, but like I said earlier, it's not full of any dodgy ingredients. If you head over to drinklmnt.com/clearedhot, that is drink, normal spelling, Lima Mike November Tango.com/clearedhot, you're going to get a free sample pack with any purchase. And don't forget to try the new sparkling, which is, again, the same as the pack. 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams magnesium, a variety of flavors. I like them really, really cold, and I still cut it with a little bit of extra water, so I get some additional hydration. Go check them out. You won't be disappointed. 600 to 800 hours?
Yeah, something like that, like kind of baseline, just entry, like you might be able to, just for the confidence piece.
A lot of people will go... you get your private license as a student, then you can rent an aircraft and build hours until you can get your commercial, and then they become a flight instructor. Yeah. And they start teaching others. That's a way to gain hours because you can actually...
because you gain a lot of hours while you're instructing.
You log the hours while you're instructing.
Oh, that makes sense. And now you're not burning cash while you're doing it. You're
somebody's
making
actually
money.
paying you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot. You're not going to get paid a ton.
At least you're not...
Yeah. I could give you probably 2 or 3 airports to go to near where you live if you're interested. You have world-class aviation instruction. Yeah. A drive away from where you live.
Man, that's cool, man. You started sparking my interest. I was like...
It's fun.
Because I've always been interested in helicopters.
I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do. Yeah. It's pretty goddamn cool. And airplanes I'm used to, but it's very linear. You're looking for...
That's what I was going to say. Like, what's more interesting to fly?
The helicopter.
Yeah, that's what I would think. It's got a little bit more maneuverability.
You're low to the ground, and you can land almost anywhere you want to. Yeah. Like I land that thing in my house.
It just seems like your actual perspective and what you're doing is a little bit more froggy.
Oh, you're in it.
Yeah.
If you wad that thing up, you're gonna get fucking 8K video of that shit coming right at you. Yeah. No, you're in it for sure. Airplanes, if you trim them out, you could kind of let go. I would not let go of any of the controls in a helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's going, you're not getting it back.
It might not bite you immediately, but it's certainly probably not going to fly straight and level for you.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's been cool, man. I would highly suggest it if you have any interest in aviation for sure.
Yeah, it started to kind of spin my wheels. So I was like, man, I've always kind of like been interested in planes that didn't really interest me.
Yeah, they're
as
cool.
much.
It's a lot more linear though. It's a lot of rectangles and squares. Yeah, and because that's just the consistent flight environment that you're going to be in. Again, though, like I learned to fly in Santee and in at Montgomery Field in San Diego. Yep. Hard airspace to learn it, but once you master those airspaces, you can fly anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I used to live by Montgomery, man. I used to live in Serra Mesa, kind of when I was younger.
A few of the 9/11 hijackers traded there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think in hindsight, the people at the simulator feel bad when they had
I bet.
People saying, hey, we're not really interested in the landing. We just want to learn how to fly this.
Yeah, he's like, hey, man, cool. You're paying, right?
Skip the takeoff and landing phase. How would one fly this
Yeah,
thing?
man, because they were probably training there. I don't know how long they were at Montgomery Field, but while I was living right next to it, man, I saw a plane crash one time when I was a little kid up there.
Really?
I saw it go down. I didn't see it actually hit the ground, but I saw it right. A house was in the way, and I was looking. I was like, "Oh, that looks weird." And I was like, "Oh, maybe he was just taking a dive." And I was like, "Damn, dude, the dude crashed."
General aviation accidents happen more than people would actually.
Yeah, especially the small ones.
Yeah, it happens more than people would like to believe or care to believe for sure.
I mean, helicopters are dangerous. It's fucking as you well know.
I don't know. I don't tell my wife that.
Yeah. I mean, you're flying around here in Montana. There can't be a better way to get around.
It shortens journeys.
Yeah. I mean, you got to see some cool ass backcountry that you just fucking can't get to. You just can't get to it, man. Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to hike this fucking distances, and
you could if you were a psychopath.
Yeah, well, you ain't doing that. I ain't doing that.
I'm not doing that. Yeah. There are psychopaths out there right now doing that for sure.
But there's got to be some cool stuff back there you see, especially in the winter.
In the winter, but even in the summer when all the animals are out. Yeah. Like at this point, I'm seeing elk herds. I've seen longhorn sheep. Like, it's crazy.
You hunt?
I do. Yeah. It's one of the things I got into when I moved up here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, man. I mean, I didn't hunt.
Two of the elk heads in the coffee shop are mine.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, growing up in California like we did, I mean, hunting wasn't really big in my fucking world. It just wasn't a thing. I wasn't shooting and hunting. I wasn't like a country boy like that. So then as I'm kind of poking up in Idaho and looking around Coeur d'Alene, which, we're thinking like we were talking about moving up here, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's, you're out in the woods, you're up there. Might as well fucking start? You hunting with a gun or a bow?
Both.
No.
If I'm really limited on time, I'll take a rifle out.
Yeah.
Just because bow hunting it's awesome, but you have to get really close to the animals.
Yeah.
And I try to eat, you want to talk about a protein source, a clean protein source?
Yeah.
Holy shit. And elk is like the most delicious. So if I'm on limited time and I want to fuel the freezer, the boomstick comes out.
Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah. You're actually harvesting.
Yeah.
You're not just out there for the sport of it.
Both.
Yeah.
But it's really tasty.
Yeah.
And I'd rather.
it's tasty.
I've had days where I've hunted 10 days straight with a bow and you just no opportunities or 10 hours with a rifle and your freezer's full.
Yeah.
So I'll take because it feeds you all year long.
How does that work up here with tags? You get like how many elk a season?
One. You'll get a guaranteed tag for deer and elk, your general license. And then you can start putting in for draws. Like you can get cow tags, so female elk. But there's antelope, there's whitetail, there's muleys, there's all sorts of shit. You can get bear tags up here too. Black
Really?
bear. Yep.
So that's a lottery though, the bear? Or you can actually just buy them?
That's a good question. Michael, do you know?
I'm looking it up right now.
I know you put in for the tag. I don't know if it's a guaranteed tag, though. Behind all of the tagging, to my understanding, Fish and Game, they're out there surveying the...
Yeah, and they're like how many they can give.
Correct.
And, to make it the numbers balance.
Yeah, but like Spring Bear just ended, and I think I could have gotten a tag, but I didn't.
What's going on with the wolves up here? I've been reading some shit in the news of,
I don't know, other than the population is growing.
That's what I've been hearing. Like they're having issues with the farmers or that wolves killing.
So you can't hunt them.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. They don't have a natural predator. So it seems as if the areas where they are being introduced, the population grows to the point where they start moving other things out of their natural habitat.
Yep.
And then people say, oh, we should hunt them. And then it becomes this argument of like intervention into nature.
Yep.
Which historically humans don't have a great track record.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in Santa Cruz of all places?
Dude, I was in coming out of high school, I lost some scholarships, gotten some car. I just was not focused, man. And so I moved back east where I was actually born, in Boston area, Gloucester, Mast, dude, and just went to junior college and trained and did that for a couple of years and tried to go back to California where I had, my dad's a, injured vet. So we had, some better tuition money or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to do this. And I didn't, it was UC second choice, man. UCLA said fucking no. And Berkeley, which I tried Berkeley, dude. My grades were okay after, the first, second, third try. Yeah. And then I got into Santa Cruz. So that's where I went.
What did you think of Santa Cruz?
Dude, it was, as a campus, it's got to be one of the most beautiful fucking campuses around.
Up on the hill, the view out over
they had the new gym and they had built a bunch of new buildings. I don't know if you've been up there fucking recently. Dude, what they had built, it had, other than Malibu or Pepperdine, I think Playboy had it as the best view of any gym of any college in the United States. It was overlooking Monterey Bay. Yeah. It had really cool facilities. They had jiu-jitsu stuff there.
Did they really?
Yeah, man, because Claudio Franco had a satellite gym out there. So it was cool walking through the redwoods and the ferns. I fucking really liked it. But I know I was just checking a box to get out of there, go in the military, because my grandpa was a captain. He was Nixon's advisor and he worked in the Pentagon. And my mom was like, You're not going to be an officer? You fucking serious? It was like that. So I just was checking the box. Was never going to be a fucking officer with my track record. But I was just trying to graduate, and that's how I ended up there. So when I was telling people, they're like, what are you doing for your internship or postgraduate? I'm like, I'm going to the fucking SEAL teams. That's what I told them. They're like, I look like I got a dick growing out of my forehead, at Santa Cruz.
That's also the response that I got.
Yeah, I bet. You coming out of Santa Cruz, bro, it's pretty left.
Telling my high school people, I tell people Santa Cruz is so far on the left, it ends up on the right somehow. And also,
it goes in a big circle.
Dude, also live your life however you want to, but it is a bastion of liberalism for sure. And I say that without judgment.
And focused. It's concentrated up there.
It's wild.
Yeah. And I was a politics major, and so you can imagine. I was writing papers on like evolution of the M16 assault rifle. I was writing interesting papers, and I was getting fucking, they were just, my professors were like, this guy, constitutional law stuff. It was really like a pre-law major, but.
And you knew you weren't going to go the officer path. You were just satisfied.
Well, I tried. So I got out, and dude, I had to go to jail in Santa Cruz for fucking 6 months. I did 6 months in county.
What did you do?
Dude, I got a DUI. Yeah. I had a DUI, a few drunken publics. Just being
in Santa Cruz?
In Santa Cruz, man.
You got to try pretty hard for that.
I was pretty drunk.
Yeah.
So I was just just not causing problems, but just getting picked up, walking home. The cops were like, "You this dumb motherfucker." I had a driving license. So when I tried to get out and I went back to San Diego and I talked to the Marine Corps. They're like, dude, you're on I went to the Marines first because I was like terrified of failing SEAL training and ending up on a boat. It was like terrifying to me. And so they said, dude, you're on fucking probation, dude, and you have pending court cases. There's no way we can talk to you. And I'm like, that dumb. I'm like, oh shit, I thought you guys can just swipe it. And they're like, no, dude. So I went, talked to a judge up in Santa Cruz, and he's like, dude, I'm not just going to commute this thing. I'll commute it. It was 3 years of probation. He's like, you give you 6 months in fucking lockdown county, Santa Cruz.
Do 6 and he'll wipe
so
the
I
3
said,
off.
Yeah, so I said, all right. They're like, my lawyer's like, whoa, 6 months for misdemeanors and this. And then I was like, dude, I don't fucking care, bro. Let's do it. And so they gave me 4. And I did 4 straight months and 23 lockdown, dude, in the fucking insane. I didn't see the sun for 4 months.
What do you do in jail for 4 months?
Dude, it fucking sucked. I mean, they had a little outdoor thing. It was all chain linked in though. And so I did like dips and burpees, and I volunteered to do jail laundry. And so, dude, the things you see in there with the observation pods and people poop painting and fucking coming in there on meth, and it was and people waiting to go up to trials on serious crimes. They were all dudes going back up to prison for fucking years on shit. So it was like a weird mixed pot in there. Santa Cruz I mean, it's just solid. People that don't know Santa Cruz, it's got a dark side, as you well know. That people who are watching it, Santa Cruz is like has a dark drug side. It's really close to Bay, so it gets all that trickle. And so, dude, there was a lot of guys in there, people getting deported, Mexican gangs, and so there was a lot of that shit in there. But yeah, man, I did my 4 and I walked out, and the CL goes, "What are you gonna do?" I walked out the day after Christmas. They let me go at midnight. This was 08, dude, and I go, "I'm gonna go be a Navy SEAL," and he goes, just fucking looked at me. And he goes, "This motherfucker," just laughed at me. But looking back, it was delusional. But that's what I was like, yeah, dude, I'm going to fucking be a Navy SEAL, and it was a long process to get waivers and fucking. I had to go. I found, it was like, who gives the contracts in San Diego? And he's like, well, this guy, this retired SEAL lieutenant commander and this active duty senior chief, they run training programs up in Pendleton and this and that. And I said, fine. So I was stacking boxes at Home Depot at night and just going to find these guys and training with them in the day for like 9 months. I lost like 40 pounds just puking and running. I just training my ass off, and they kicked the shit out of me. But sure enough, by the end, taking screening tests every week for about 9 months, and they, down at the Naval Amphibious Base. So it was actually super helpful because I was in the fucking pool. Like training. Over at I was at the Naval
NAB Coronado.
NAB, that's where we train. That's where I trained with I was in delayed entrance processing, and so I was not in the Navy. I was a civilian.
Home field advantage. That's
bro.
Awesome.
It was the reason I passed. I would have not passed BUD/S how I did if I hadn't have done that. It was half-mile sprints, an hour and a half of running, then an hour and a half in the pool. They were and hanging on the bar, fucking don't drop. It was all the shit we would have been doing, but it was like 5, 6, 7 guys showing up. It wasn't like a lot of fucking dudes. It was just, and it was so helpful.
Yeah.
It was so helpful.
God, I didn't realize they let people who weren't even
I don't even think they do it anymore. They called it a SEAL Motivator. And you might have heard about it, or maybe, but they had a SEAL Motivator, this retired lieutenant commander, and an active duty senior chief. You probably know, but he ran Vegas, LA, and San Diego, and he would do this like triangle, but his home was San Diego. And that's what I did, man, and that was really helpful. So any guys out there who are thinking about, find a group. I needed that external peer pressure to also, push me harder.
All the data is out there. To me, people who show up unprepared at this point, given the amount of information available on the internet, dude, do your fucking homework.
Bro,
do your homework.
Yeah.
And what I always tell people too is overtraining is actually a real thing. Because there's actually so much information.
Yeah.
We found this when we were instructors. There's a website that shows every evolution of every day of BUD/S.
Wow. Who the fuck wrote that?
Some students, over time. It's an aggregation.
Just compiled
Zero impact on graduation rate.
Wow.
Because there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
So when I went through, In hindsight, I think the technical term was being an idiot because I didn't have a plan B of any kind.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know what was happening every day. So every day was like a journey of exploration.
Yeah.
If I had known every evolution, like if you start off in the morning and you're having a shit day, but you check the website and you know there's 15 evolutions.
Dude, I did not want to know.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And so at first the instructor were like, fuck, we got to take this down. We landed on, not that we would have had the power to do so, like actually leave that thing up there.
Yeah.
Because
terrifying.
It's taking care of the people who can't compartmentalize and focus on the task at hand.
They're like, that's way too much.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, it's only 7 a.m. and this shit on the training schedule looks like it's going till 9 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
I have a better idea. Where's that bell? Because that thing sounds pretty dope right now.
Yeah. The ignorance was 100% bliss. I said this before, dude. I went through one time, right? I was one of the original guys like you were. And I say I had to. I don't think I would have had the fucking momentum. I needed the momentum and the ignorance. I needed to go all the way through with my head down because I don't think I could have stopped, lost my momentum, and then known. I just knew that about myself. I was like, I can't stop, dude. I need to keep going and not know what's fucking coming. I just need to put my head down and do the right shit.
What was it about the SEALs that was a draw for you?
Dude, I know the moment.
Say Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, no, dude. When he dove in, he skydove right with the dragger. Dude, it was the most accurate team guy movie of all time.
God.
Yeah.
Damn, that movie's so good. I watched it not too long ago.
It is good.
Didn't age well, but it's still a masterpiece.
I might watch it later. So I was in Point Loma or something, and I was with my dad, and I saw glow lights in the bay, and I'm like, "What the fuck's that?" I was 7. It was October '92, man. I remember exactly when it was, and he was like, "Oh, those are SEALs training." I now know they were fucking, probably students, but that moment, I was like, "What? There's motherfuckers out there in the water?" Like. Then I was in the library and watching, Men with Green Faces. I just got obsessed with it. Not like in a romantic sense. I really never was this had this Rambo idea of, I just was like fascinated with the fucking dudes in jeans hopping in fucking Vietnam with no radio. Like that was just like, who the fuck are these motherfuckers? That totally, I knew what it was then. And I just kind of stayed on that track. It got shelved with distraction. I'm like, oh, I gotta go play sports and school and shit. But I always knew that's where I wanted to go, and I appreciated I don't want to say relaxed culture, but it was like operationally focused. It does
seem relaxed from the outside. People don't understand. It's highly disciplined, but we just look like shit.
Yeah, it was 100. Well, the professionalism on the training. People ask me about Legion, and this is a good. People ask me about what was harder, SEALs or fucking Legion. I go fucking SEAL teams, way harder. The selection's harder. The fucking pressure's harder. There's some psychological problems on the Foreign Legion, but it's mostly isolation and loneliness and fucking that part. The SEAL teams is like, dude, it's performance based. Every fucking day, all the time. If you don't show up, fucking like nobody's following you around making sure you're fucking in shape. Like I'm sure you've come across, dude, if you can't do it. You're fucked. And so there was always this pressure of like, dude, I gotta be ready because I don't know what's coming. And also you just have this like ownership of being proud of where you're at. And I always appreciated too the relationships between officers in the SEAL teams and enlisted, and it's very bottom up. You have from a new guys, people that aren't aware is from your very first day, you're planning missions and doing actions on and PowerPoint slides and getting up and briefing and talking and being graded in front of 70 SEALs, public speaking. There's that whole fucking piece was so important and beneficial now. That is a whole world that a lot of people aren't aware of, is just how professional it was. And guys who I saw, showing up with tattoos and saying, dude, they're pulling out their notebooks, taking fucking notes, debriefing you extremely professionally, even though you're a new guy, that part. The professionalism is, but they're like, we don't care if your hair is a little bit longer and you don't fucking salute. There was that because it was like, because we understand. And coming through, you guys set the fucking pace. Your generation set up interesting pace, and your instructors were from fucking Nam and shit, and then you guys coming through.
Mine were the generation after.
Oh, really?
Everybody who taught me everything that I went to war with came from peacetime.
Yeah. And well, it was crazy coming from your guys's for us coming through because all you motherfuckers were just coming back from Afghanistan or Iraq.
Yeah.
So there was like a lot less focus on like, hey, dude, it was like, hey, attention to detail because people might will die. Like, this is why your knife has to be sharp, motherfucker. It's not because we give a shit. We need to know you pay attention when shit's easy. You know, and it's like, I understood that and you were coming back, guys fucking banged up with silver stars and arms hanging off, and they're telling you, you know, at sniper school, because you went to sniper school. I had an interesting path. We had a similar path. I volunteered for comm school, then I went to sniper school.
I did not volunteer for comm school. I came into work one day and they're like, hey, for the next 3 weeks, you're
voluntold. You know, and so
that was my first new guy school.
Yeah, we had that similar path, which was really helpful career-wise, you know, but that piece, when I was at sniper school, we had a bunch of guys coming from development group, and they were, you know, they're doing, guys you definitely know, you know, hey, sit down, we're going to teach you about fucking hide sites and shit. You know, almost in tears because they've had guys die because they didn't fucking black out a room right or didn't approach it. And nothing more serious when they're telling you something and they're coming back from overseas. There was a seriousness to every course of instruction, which I really appreciated going through. It was like, dude, we're not fucking going to play patty cake here.
You know, you were asking me about buds and why it was so rewarding. I mean, how many times did you stand there, you know, before a swim? Mondays were the 4-mile run. Wednesdays were usually the obstacle course. Was it
Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
Right? So you're fucking standing there, and you have your CO2 cartridge, and you have your knife.
God, I forgot about that, man.
But you know, as a student, I'm going through and I'm 18 years old, and you know, CO2 cartridge, you got to make sure there's no rust on it. There's just threads. The knife, the instructor is going to try to cut hair on his arm. And as a student, you're like, am I going to get in a knife fight with the shark? Like, why is this so important?
Yeah.
You go back as an instructor after a tour on the East Coast, and you have the ability to tell the student who can clearly tell, you can look at them and you can see in their eyes like, this is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And you can say to them like, hey, guess what? This is stupid, but this isn't about you getting into a fucking knife fight with a shark.
Yeah.
This is about, regardless of how tired you are,
you
do what the fuck is required in your job. This is the standard that is expected, and you either meet it or you're out of here.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
Yeah.
All of that bullshit that didn't make sense when I was a student because it wasn't supposed to, you go back as an instructor, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This curriculum is actually amazing.
Yeah. And
it's amazing. And it has, like, pool comp has nothing to do with diving.
Yeah.
I used to give the pool comp brief, and for in the class when they would graduate, I'm like, hey, by the way, idiots.
Yeah.
Do not go out this weekend and rent scuba gear because you're going to die. You know nothing about scuba diving. No one is ever going to attack you underwater and tie knots into your shit. It's about, can you strip everything else away and follow procedure, regardless of what's happening in the world around you.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with diving.
Yeah. Can you have stress management or manage your stress in a fucking not being able to breathe?
Yeah.
It's like in the most stressful environment.
Under a pressure cooker, under a stopwatch, on a 1-to-1 ratio where the instructor's just sitting there right in front of your face waiting for you to freak out.
Yeah.
Can you tune all that shit out? And as much as you think you want to breathe and bolt to the surface, work your way through a problem.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's like overseas.
Yeah.
It made so much more sense going back.
Yeah, I could see too. And then you have all this real life experience, and you're coming, and then that upper levels of training, and then coming back, and you have this ability to kind of see it from the outside in. It's got to be kind of a power. I never got a chance to be an instructor, and I regret it. Where I feel like I really would have liked that because you get this like other frame of like you're just talking about.
It was the single most rewarding 18 months at my 17 years.
Wow.
To have that ability to, and then I got my commission there without a college degree, which is awesome. So I became an officer. I skipped your college step. Probably because my GPA in high school was about a 1.8, I think. There was like the bar, and I was like, oh, whoopsie, I jumped right underneath it. But I ended up serving a Team 3 with a bunch of dudes I had put through training.
Yeah.
And then they're looking at me overseas like, hey, what should we do here? Like, fuck, man. Like, you want to talk about feeling responsible?
Yeah, I bet. But you know at that point. Not all the time exactly. Know. Well, but you have a really educated guess. You have a good hypothesis of the way forward.
Yeah. What was the teams what you thought it was going to be? Because you came in wartime. For me, I came in peacetime. I had 5 years almost before 9/11. So I got to see the SEAL teams pre 9/11. I got to see the evolution. And I think now, not that conflict has gone away, but it was interesting to see the kinetic velocity slow down.
Yeah.
And how that impacted the guys who thought they were coming in only to play Call of Duty for real.
Yeah.
What is this admin bullshit we have to do? And what do you mean we're not deploying to Afghanistan? We're going somewhere else. And I saw that beforehand. I'm like, oh, I recognize this.
Yeah. Dude, Andy, I loved being in the team so much. I loved fucking all the pieces of it. I fucking loved being there early. I fucking loved working out before anybody got there and fucking with the gear. I fucking loved it. That's why losing it was so fucking terrible. It was my whole identity. I really loved it. So it's like, oh, we need to go do some admin bullshit. I'm like, all right. Like I didn't mind any of it. Like you were talking about PSD missions. My first deployment wasn't like super kinetic. It was in Yemen. And so I was in Yemen growing a beard, getting weird on like a small little thing, but we were doing PSD elements for the fucking ambassador.
Which is our security detail. What is it? Personnel security detail?
Yeah, or whatever, personal security, PSDs.
I guarantee you the acronym has changed anyway.
Yeah.
Think of military guys doing Secret Service type stuff.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, and it was, sweat and ball. You know exactly what it is. And it's just, but I fucking liked it, man. It wasn't I liked the mission set. I just liked fucking working. I just liked, you said something on, you were talking to Mike, you're like, dude, I got grenades on my belt. I got my mag in and that was exactly, it was like the first time in my life I just felt exactly where I was supposed to be. I don't know how else to really describe it. Even if the mission set sucked, I really just didn't give a shit. I just liked being out with my boys doing this, and Iraq was a different situation, right? But I just really liked being there. And then as you know, as careers progress, things get more complicated, life gets more complicated, just things get more complex. And and then the simplicity of that first one kind of went away as we start to stack all the shit on. But it was I really, to answer your question specifically, it was, but I can understand. And here's one other piece that if I can say I regret something. I had just started to do my paperwork for fucking screening. Mm-hmm. Just started when I fucking really put the axe down on me. Not that I would have gotten accepted or whatever. That might not have been the psychological profile for it.
You would have had a few questions at the interview phase.
Yeah, but rightfully so. I wasn't responsible enough for that. Obviously, it showed. But I regret not experiencing that level of training because from what I've heard, they're like, obviously, the teams, I got a lot of homies there and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just a different level. Of training and op cycle.
You're tested on different things. And their op cycle has decreased too. You know what I mean? Their op cycle is reflective of the world that is around them.
Yeah.
The op cycle we were on was 90 days over, 180 days back. 90 days over, 180 days back. Just unless people needed to be searched. Yeah. And then that time back, 90 of that was on standby. So all you're doing is the kill house from fucking sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
Local training within an hour pager range. And the rest of the training is like, you got to go work with the 160th. You got to go get mountain skills. You got to go out to Dugway. And it's like, dude, it was.
You ever do any of that big wave surf passage shit that they're doing out in fucking Hawaii?
Fuck that.
Dude, I saw some team guys and they're talking about big wave surf passage. That we were talking to the homies. I was like, what?
I feel like that's a mission only for SDV.
Dude, that fucking sounds gnarly.
SDV is already in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Anything that involves big wave surf, you have.
I mean, I get it's a good deal trip, dude. You're out there on the
until you're
North
in the
Shore
pipeline swimming with a rucksack.
I'm like, damn, dude, because that's when shit gets real. I almost died in fucking in Mexico doing a thing for Obama in the teams, dude. It was the closest I've ever come to dying was in the water. We were doing, it was 2012. He was down there for the G20 summit, and we pulled the short straw. Team 8 was on land doing their overwatch for their Secret Service. They're worried about the cartels and when he was transiting. And Team 7 drew a small element. I was a fucking brand new guy, hadn't even done a full workup yet. I have a comms JTAC qual, so as a fucking new guy. Yeah. And so they're like, hey, dude, you're going. And we're on a weather deck of an LCU. Towing a rib with Zodiacs on it. So we have a couple SWIC guys with us, and anytime he was transited, we were kitted up on the rib.
Just out in the water.
Out in the water, 2 miles out, off of his thing. We were doing for a week. We went down on a LHA.
Yep.
Towed down. Then for a week we were on this weather deck, sleeping in cots, towing back and forth.
Okay, so he had a land element, and you guys were kitted up in a RIB, which stands for Rigid Hull Inflatable Boat, if people want to look that up. What were you supposed to do? Interdict pirates?
So if they needed a maritime extraction force, because he had a house right on the beach.
Okay.
That had a fucking way we could get in. If he was in transit, they needed to kind of beat feet and needed to go and pull him out of the ocean. And so I was like, all right, well, here we are. And I'm thinking, Cabo, Mexico, it's fucking June. And so this taught me a lesson from this point on, that you don't get ready, you stay ready. I had my fucking water wing at one. I fucking no flotation.
Yeah,
I'm like,
water wing, for people listening, is a flotation device that you have to activate.
And I'm in just not thinking anything's going down. It's like good weather, summertime, thinking a huge fucking storm comes in. Massive. Huge swells, the LCU's pitching. The LCU's pitching, the ribs slamming up against the side, which is getting towed, which we needed for comms because the fucking omnidirectional. And I'm going, holy fuck, dude. They're like, we need to get inland. We need to go fucking harbor and shore because we need to get these ribs. They can't be towed. They're getting smashed up. So they called the approvals. We're coming in on the fucking ocean with machine guns. So it has to go all the way up and down. And I'm like, I'm going first. Fucking new guy. I'm like, I put my fucking thing on now. Full radio, man pack, 6-7 mags, M4 wired in. There's no way I was like, dude, as a new guy, I'm fucking going down with this thing.
Of course you dip tested all this gear, right? To make
sure yeah. And that
neutrally buoyant.
That was the thing. I fucking did. I think guys probably dip tested. If I did a half-assed job, right?
Yeah.
I might have had a fucking, and just, this was me. This was me realizing this was big boy rules now, and it was not up to anybody else to keep me alive. It was me, and I learned the fucking hard way this time. I almost fucking died, and I jump as it's pitching. I hit the side. I'm in Solomon's, so my fucking feet slip immediately. I'm in track Solomon's, and I hit the side. I go right in the fucking drink. Night vision, helmet, full kit. I got a kick, wired, just everything. Pistol, and I'm going, and I'm fucking treading water, dude. And
do you have fins?
I got nothing on,
Excellent.
I'm treading. I'm going, dude, I'm sinking. And I was probably treading water, and it's 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I'm getting away from the props. They're trying to sign a fucking flag. They lose me in the fucking dark, and it's going to shit. And I'm going, dude. I'm going I get hypercapnia. I'm seeing yellow, exertion, and I'm going, dude, I'm gonna fucking die. I go, this is how it ends. Didn't see this coming. And I'm going down, dude, and I see I was like the hand of God. It was my OIC. And he fucking grabs me.
Like the movie hand coming into the water?
And he grabs me, man, and he pulls me up, and I'm like, and he goes, wanna lift? That's what he says to me, dude. And when I'm about to die, and I crawled up on the fucking on the thing, dude. And this was got to be the beauty of the teams. There's an older guy. He's like a Mensa member, but he's got a country accent. Big Jack, dude. And he goes, hey, man. And he gets on the fucking boat all nice and easy. He goes, hey. And I'm shivering, dude. I'm fucking freezing. He goes, you got a beanie? And I said, no. And he goes, and he pulls it out of his fucking thing. He puts it on himself, and he goes, you always got to have a beanie, man. And I fucking go, we slept under the fucking pier. We ended up going in ashore, and we slept under the dock in Cabo, fucking hiding all the gun. We slept under the fucking dock, man. That was the closest I ever come to dying. It was as a new guy, but that taught me from that moment. I'm glad it happened then. I fucking never forgot that fucking anything's coming. And so I was just always very, very cautious of weather and my kit and my shit, and just being like, what could fucking go wrong here? It taught me really early, fast.
Water will kill you, man.
Yeah, it was a humbling experience.
Look at the 2 guys who drowned off Somalia.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the investigation is finished on that, and I don't have any back channels, but I heard that there was very likely not a dip test done for buoyancy. And I mean, they're doing a hook and climb, but it's like people are like, why can't they tread water? It's very similar to what you described, and they're not wearing fins. You know,
dude. Anyway, you got gear on it, and you're fucking trying to tread water. I don't give a how fucking good of a swimmer you are, dude. You only have so much juice in the tank, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that stuff is not easy off gear.
Fuck no. And there was no way I could in the even they're like, why didn't you deploy? Bro, of course it slides to the back. I was surviving. There was no me like, if I took a break to try to like stop, there was just not happening. And I learned like, dude, your shit has to be accessible. And if you think it's accessible, it's not going to be when you need it. So make sure it's accessible. And just all the things, man. But that was a humbling experience. And I realized that this is fucking, right before I jumped, I had this moment. And I fucking remember it as clear as day. And I remember things pitching. I just remember going, holy fuck, this is real now. Like there's no more bumpers. There's no more, this is real life. This is happening. There's absolutely no handbook for this. Like
seals die in the water. Yeah. Not every year, but often enough. And it's supposed to be our core competency. It just doesn't care, man. The water doesn't give a shit.
Dude, I still have a very humbling, like even fucking around in the ocean, man, I'm just very aware of how quick things can go.
Yeah, for sure. How did you, you said you were in Hawaii and you made the decision really quick for the Legion.
Yeah.
How did you come upon that decision?
Dude, I found out I probably knew about the Legion just in my like, you know, being a young kid and being fascinated with that world. When I got out of college and I was getting turned, because I got turned down by the Marines for my tattoos, Army for my background, and that's when I ended up going to the Navy. It was my last fucking Hail Mary. It was the only place I could go. So it was fucking just path, man, you know? So I went into the Navy because of that, but that's when I started looking into the Foreign Legion. When I was like depressed about getting turned down by all these branches, going, dude, what the fuck am I gonna do? I was like, holy shit, the decisions I made, all the dumb shit I did actually fucking matters, you know. And now it's time to pay the piper, even though I thought they were small, but it's not how it fucking works. So anybody fucking in that pop, be smart, man. But that's when, and so seed was planted then. Then even going through who I got, a good homie, he's a team lead up at Blue, but he goes, dude, I remember when we were in boot camp, man. He goes, fucking, you were like, dude, if anything goes down, I'm going in the Foreign Legion. And I said that? I was like, fuck. I said, I shouldn't have telegraphed that, bro, or manifested that. But then when it all kind of fell apart and I'm like, you know, kind of living in my truck and I go, holy fuck, I remember that idea. I was like, I remember that. I go, I got no kids. I got nothing holding me back. I hadn't gone after the teams because I had a girlfriend and a good job and all that stuff that keeps you planted. Yeah. And then all that was gone and I realized that, dude, I got nothing tethering me to the pier here. I was like, this is the time to do it. That's why.
How'd you know where to go?
Dude, I got on some threads and did some Reddits or whatever. And I'm like, where do you go? And then, you know, I kind of found through the grapevine, you just show up and it's like people that don't know, it's a 200-year-old institution, the French Foreign Legion is, and it was started by an old king to kind of funnel, you know, people, get foreigners out of his bars back onto the battlefield, modeled after the Roman legions to give you, you know, citizenship if you serve your time, if you want it. With no political pressure of French coming back in body bags. It's a fucking pretty good deal. And so that's why it was started. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can go and knock on this fucking door like the Wizard of Oz. And there's no calling ahead. There's no application. You just go knock on the door. I handed him my passport. I said a little prayer right before I went in. I handed him my passport and he said, fucking, all right, take your fucking hat off. He said, left ton chapeau, you know, and, you know, you got to learn to speak French, which I, you know, did after some years. But then he said, get up on the fucking pull-up bar. And that was my path in, man. It was
like how soon from door opening to you're on a pull-up bar?
5 minutes.
Okay, they're not fucking around.
No, and dudes fail it. And dudes fail that. And you're talking about knowing the information. This you can Google on open source. Like, what are they going to do? Yeah. Pull-ups is the first fucking test. Pull-ups and then IQ test, a very rudimentary IQ test. The pull-ups, man, are right in the middle of the hallway at the Fort Nogent base. It's like an old medieval castle on the outskirts of Paris. I took a fucking train there from a hostel. I had no fucking money left, nothing. I was just like a black bag, like 34 too, dude. I was 34 knocking on this door.
Is that traditionally older than most?
So you have till 39 and a half. So you have guys all the way up till that time. 17 and a half to 39 and a half is your window. Hard cut.
Okay.
So you have
no exceptions beyond that?
No exceptions. I mean, it's a fucking hard line. They'll tell you to turn around. But you know that their pull-ups are going to be a thing. And you're probably going to have some fucking dude yelling at you in French with a Russian accent, because like, you know, which is most of them, a lot of Eastern Bloc guys telling you to do pull-ups. So you better be able to do them because it's, that didn't count. Another one, dead hangs, that whole game. So you better be able to do a bunch, extra more than you think you need to do.
Are they looking for a number or are they looking for just max
It's
effort?
probably like 6, right? Dead hangs. But, that didn't count. That didn't count. Next thing you know, you're at 10, that type of thing.
30 later.
Dudes will be in some South American village and take a boat to a fucking train, to a bus, to a plane, to a fucking... Get there, fail the pull-ups. They tell them to fucking leave. I'm like, bro, their whole life savings, and they show up and they can't fucking do the pull-ups. And I'm going,
can they come back?
A lot of times for that, they'll be like, hey, come back in 3 months.
Okay.
But when you go through the pre-selection, it's called, you're in civilian clothes. And when I went in the barracks, dude, I'm going, what the fuck am I doing, bro? Like, I'm having these moments of like, reflection. And I'm in there with a guy from Chad, Ukraine, Belarus, Thailand, Lithuania, the whole spread in this one barracks room. So it's pretty fascinating. And I'm sitting in there. I'm the only American. And they're talking, but you're going through medical evaluations, Interpol background checks, initial psychological screeners, and then your physical checks. But all that stuff in your IQ test, that's like 1 week. That's pre-selection. Then they'll send you the guys who get that. That's usually they'll chop about 30% of guys from that. Most of it's medical and dental.
Okay.
It's very little on physical at the beginning.
What'd they think about your background?
So I brought my DD-214.
What'd they think about the criminal background?
They were fucking fine with it. They're like, because I don't have any felonies, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any I have some dumb shit, and I told them about most of it, but this ain't the Boy Scouts. You got guys coming. It was created for thieves and robbers and guys. That's why the whole unit was created. Was fucking criminals is really what it was.
Is it a portal in essence, not in essence, but in some way, is it a portal from somebody who has a checkered background to serve and do their time and come out of that?
Yes.
Clean, if you will.
They'll give you they gave me a fake name. I operated on a fake name for 3 fucking years. They gave me I have a picture, a French official passport with a fucking completely fake name it was Trent Clayson. They give you your same initials and they change your birth date. And, anyway. But yeah, and then you pass through additional paperwork, and then they give you your real name and your passport back. But I didn't see my passport for 3 years. Didn't leave France. They didn't give me my passport or my real name back for 3 years until I got that additional paperwork screened through. But yes, some guys stick with that fake name, will do their time, maybe a whole career, fucking get out, have a pension, be a French citizen with a whole fucking fake name.
Damn.
Yeah. And you got guys coming back out of who look like they just got out of a Russian gulag. Face tats, head tattoos.
They may have gotten out of a Russian gulag.
Yeah, you see guys in full uniform, face tats, head tats in the Foreign Legion because they got no tattoo regulations. But your fucking hair better be cut. I'm telling you, dude, they are fucking worse than Marine Corps. You're coming out, if your hair is not fucking perfect, if your uniform is not fucking perfect, they'll put you in jail. In jail there, they have a small little jail at each regiment. The jail there is not it's like, I got sent to, they call it toll. I got sent to toll again. Dudes will be in toll all the time. You walk across the fucking grass wrong. But all you'd be doing is fucking hard manual labor all day. So, and when you start your day, you pick up a 10-kilo rock. You just find a fucking rock and they'll make you run like a fucking 10K circle around the fucking regiment. Jesus. Then stack it in front of the regiment. And the Legion's renowned for, you got to stack pyramids. They stack rocks into pyramids as like a punishment, but also just fucking to burn time. And so every Legion base, if you pull in, there'll be fucking pyramids, and it's from guys in Toll fucking running and stacking. It looks like, it's a fucking very unique institution, man.
God. So what did you think you were going to get into there?
What was the mission?
Yeah, purpose? The mission, but also what did you want to get out of it?
What did I want out of it?
Were you just not done with military type stuff?
I'll tell you exactly what. There's 3 types. I'll tell you what I wanted, and I'll tell you the types of guys that go in there. Okay. There's the fucking romantic. There's the guy that's like, I'm going to go to war, and my long lost love, and those guys get fucking smoked. They get burned out pretty quick. Then you have the practical guy who's come from a shit nation, needs the passport and the money. You have that guy. guys from Eastern Bloc countries. And also, then you have the machines of war, machine de guerre. You have the guys that want to get after it, and they're from countries that don't do external operations.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had I'll give you an example. We had a guy from Belarus who's been fighting in Ukraine for a really long time. He ended up leaving the Legion and going to fight, but he's been over there for a long time. I talked to him recently. But he was in their special operations in Belarus, and as a captain, as an officer. And so he was jumping and doing other shit. And dude, he got paid $900 a month. You know, he doubled his salary just by going to the Legion at base pay, you know, and you have Brazilians and those guys. Me, I needed to burn some fucking time. I needed some time to think and be doing something I was proud of and just do something fucking interesting. I'd never heard of a Navy SEAL going to be there. So I was like, let me go see what this is about. And I always knew about it. Pick the pen back up and write my story. I kind of felt like I had lost a little bit of my fucking path and my mojo. And I needed to burn some karmic debt off, you know? And so that really gave me that time to have a fucking roof over my head, gun in my hands, running, and just cut out the whole fucking world, you know? I used it as a vehicle of self-development. And I was like, maybe I'll deploy. And they ended up deploying. I went to South America, French Guiana, did jungle operations down there. And then we did, when Ukraine kicked off, we were with the Enhanced Forward Presence Battle Group with NATO up on the Estonian border with Russia. Which was cool, working with the guys from UK. That was fucking cool because they'd be going through the woods and they'd see my French flag and they're like, oh, and I'm like, nah, dude, it's good, dude. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing out here, dude? I'm like, I don't know, I took a hard left somewhere, bro. They're like, this fucking, but dude, we were rolling out on exercises. It wasn't kinetic, but just a lot of exercises and trying to figure out how to work these units together. Yeah. Right. French and different language and all. We'd roll out with 82 fucking T-82 tanks, bro. Like fucking $3 million just in diesel on like 2-3 days. Just rose. And I'm like, I've never seen movements like that, you know, just tanks like that. T-82s just lined up as far as you can fucking see. And I'm like, and we were like the French element kind of in the front kind of doing some stuff.
Did you enjoy it?
No, I would say, you know, I was talking to Marcus Luttrell. I was talking to Luttrell about this, man. And he goes, that must've been like apples and cement. Like it was no autonomy. I mean, no autonomy. You're checking into the building, checking out, you're getting searched, drug tests coming back in. You have very little fucking just thumb on. It was Navy SEAL, come clean this fucking toilet, man. I was cleaning toilets and fucking doing shit for fucking years until I got some rank, you know? And then it eased up a little bit, but it was hard at first. There was cool moments. I would say I didn't enjoy it, but it was interesting, if I could say it. I'm sure you can.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Type 2 fun.
Yeah, type 2 fun. Yeah, it was. I'm glad it was.
Looking back at it.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over, but I mean, you're cold as. I was fucking cold there so much because I requested I was guided by Legion leadership to go one of the commando groups. So they have a mountain commando group and a parachute commando group. I ended up failing the fucking run. I was invited to go after a few years, but I ended up failing one of their runs and during their selection. And I was 37 and I was going to need to sign a 5-year additional. And I knew it was done. Yeah. And so, but I was at their mountain regiment. So I was in the Alps fucking doing fucking the French. One thing they know how to do is do alpine shit. Oh yeah. And the Foreign Legion mountain regiment was tough, man. I mean, I was getting my fucking dick pushed in on some of these fucking out of Mount Blanc. We were on the French Alps on the Italian border, just skiing, living in igloos and doing that shit in the winter. And then in the summer it was all that shit. And it was humbling, man, because I was 10%, probably 15% of that regiment's guys from Nepal who failed the Gurkha selection. And then they go there, and dude, they're just smoking cigarettes, like walking up the fucking hill.
3 times the red blood count that we have.
Dude, and I'm like, dude, how are you fucking doing this? So it was hard for me. It was very challenging. Cool moments, powerful moments, but I was glad it was done.
What's it like when you decide to leave? Do you just tell them like, hey, by the way, I'm done at the end of my enlistment or whatever it is? Yeah, well, you know, I had a little bit of a friction. I had a kind of a unique situation because I was getting out. I had about 6 months left, fucking getting out. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I going to do? Right? I mean, like, and I was like, dude, I'm having good days. I had really, really locked on my like daily schedule.
Like I was out of need really to kind of pull some control because I was pretty not depressed, but like fucking hurting for a couple years through that process. 'Cause I didn't tell anybody I was there. I was cut off. My mom and my family knew, but that was about it. And I'm like, dude, I want to tell my story because I was suicidal in my car, but now I'm fucking having pretty good days even here, making $1,500 a month, 38, living in a barracks, right? I'm like, man, I'm going to tell my story. So I told my story thinking it was, and there's Legion guys with, YouTubes and stuff. But,
okay, so you told it on YouTube.
Yeah, and so there's Legion guys with YouTubes and stuff. Even the Legion has their YouTube, and it's not an issue. But the fucking problem is my shit blew up on my first post. I got fucking million views on my first upload. And so it fucking blew up.
Do they have a generic policy on that?
So they had to create one for me.
Oh, interesting.
So they had to create one for me. They don't give a shit about it until it gets big. And I never have said anything negative about the Legion. I never would. I actually really appreciate the institution, but they don't know that. And they're like, dude, this guy's I did a few posts and it was like 600,000, million, 2 million fucking views on like long form.
Wouldn't that be good for them though?
But it's an old institution, man. They're not moving at the times. And
yeah,
it was actually a ton because I got honest, man, about being suicidal. I was a former Navy SEAL. I'm here. I use this as a vehicle of self-development. It's been great. It's been very, I was actually very, stoked on the situation and very proud and pushed that good tradition of the Legion, but they didn't like that. So they're like NCIS or whatever it is. It was like, take the shit down. And by this time, it had been like 2 weeks, man. I mean, not a long time. And I'm on the back nine of my shit. I'm getting out. I'm moving trucks around the base. That's all I'm doing. And so I'm like just buying time, and they're like, I'm not re-upping. They know I'm not. I'm not causing any fucking problems, but they don't know if I can just start spouting off at the mouth. They don't want that. So I said, I'm getting all these emails from former Marines, fucking guys from all over the fucking world going, dude, I was in my truck. They're like, dude, I was in my car with my gun in my mouth and your fucking YouTube popped up. And I decided not to kill myself. Not like one or two, like hundreds of emails. And I'm like, damn, dude. They're like, thank you for sharing that, right? It gave me like just not to go to the Legion, but just to fucking hold off and maybe shit'll get better if I just start fucking being better and grabbing my nuts type thing. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'm not taking it down. Not taking it down. And they're like, well, stand the fuck by. And they made my fucking life a living hell, man. I mean, they tried to put me in jail. I got a lawyer. And by chance, I had tore my medial calf muscle on a fucking thing. And this is just how things happen. They sent me to a hospital. And they sent me to a fucking hospital right before this happened. Right before they called, I should say. So I'm in this hospital when they called me. So I'm not at the base. Mind you, I have all my stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're like, dude, if you don't take it down, we're going to put you in back-to-back 30-day jails.
In the lot?
In the fucking breaking big rocks into small rocks. Until we kick you out because you can't be more in jail and then we're going to force get you out. And I said, well, what is the rule here? And so I got a French lawyer, so thank God I wasn't there. They would have just wrapped me up like hard fucking.
You happen to be out of their grasp. At that point.
I would. Yeah. So I'm in an apartment. I had a girlfriend at the time in France. And so I'm like, I'm playing an admin battle with them. They're like, well, the doctor wanted me there. So I was under TDY at the fucking hospital. And so I wasn't breaking any rules by not being there. So there was this interesting battle and this lawyer goes, dude, you're not a French citizen. It's it's actually very gray. There's no rules here. They can fucking take you and do whatever they want with you, but because you're not anybody. You're not even a fucking resident. Nothing. So you have no legal protections here. You're pretty much here technically illegally, but not really because you're in the Legion. It's a very weird thing going on. So I said, well, what the fuck do I do, man? They're like, dude, you just tell me breaking your contract because that's all you can fucking do. And I said, okay, well, I told them.
Did they advise you to get the hell out of the country too?
Yeah, they said, you got to fucking leave, man. And I said, well, shit. And so I talked to my commanding officer. I said, look, what's going to happen here? Like, 'cause it's not coming. I'm not taking it down. I'm not losing the momentum on this. I actually fucking felt like people say it might put an asterisk on my name, but I felt like a really deep purpose in what I was doing. I really fucking did, man. And I go, dude, just makes sense. And I'm not taking this down right now to go back and have to go to jail anyway. So he fucking said, dude, you just call him, tell him you're breaking your contract and so I did. And they said, right, if you don't cause any fucking problems for us, we're not going to cause any problems from you. That was pretty much it.
What a wild ending.
Yeah,
to that
so
journey.
I pretty much can't go back to France. People get kicked out of bars. Have you been kicked out of a country, man? You know,
I don't think so.
You know, so technically, man, and so it was unfortunate because it's not how I wanted it to go.
Yeah.
And I just fucking, dude, there was just nothing else to do, you know, other than take it down, get my shit pushed in, and then fucking finish it up. But I really was like, dude, it just didn't feel right.
Well, if you had taken it down, finished up your time with your Legion, all you would have done is put it right back up again anyway when you left.
Yeah, I would have put it right back up, but there was a momentum piece.
Yeah. Were you shocked at the response that you got?
I was surprised because I was very championing. Dude, how many fucking guys joined the Legion after I fucking post my shit, dude? How many guys hit me up going, hey, I'm a prior Marine and I've fucking been dying to serve but I got an RE2 and... Dude, they got flooded with badass soldiers, dude, of like guys with combat experience. I mean, I got a call because, dude, I still talk to a lot of my Legion buddies. And in the Legion, everybody who's in the Legion, a lot of them understood, especially the guys who saw what was going down, you know, and they were like, damn, dude, you made the right fucking call because they understood. But that whole piece is, I knew a guy in recruiting. He goes, dude, we got a ton of badass Marines and fucking guys who were just like, you know, just felt like they had the itch still and wanted to go back in and serve, but couldn't get in the United States. And so, you know, it was what it was. It was, you know, 18 months ago and there wasn't any issues, but kind of sucks. But I would have liked to just ride out into the sunset, but I would say, dude, life ain't no fucking fairy tale, man. You know, a lot of times, as you know, think about how many guys we know in the military. Very few get out scot-free with things in like perfect scenarios. It's just not a lot, dude. It's usually I don't
know of any. If you're going to attach the word perfect scenarios to it,
yeah,
I don't know any.
So many guys that I respect and you've talked to on platforms, it's just like things get complex. It's like people say about marriage, it's like irreconcilable differences, man. At some point, it's just not working out anymore. And sometimes it's just not going to continue. And that was my scenario.
You still have the itch though?
No.
You got it out of you?
I don't feel the itch of, cause I feel really locked into my purpose. The success is there. Things are going really well. Got the family. Sure. There's always that, you know, I wish I would have scratched the surface higher. There's that piece of me. Like, I wish I would have, you know, screened and done that process and seen how I stack up. If, you know, there's always that piece in me that I think I'll always kind of have a regret about not being disciplined enough to follow through with that. But as of right now, I'm like, as we see the state of the world is going to ask what you thought about what's going on now, man. It's like, maybe I got to dust this shit off, bro. Maybe I got to dust this shit off at my Pelican case, bro.
I don't know. And honestly, even if it came to that, at some point we have to pass the torch on anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I struggle with this in myself, but I see it in other people. There is a point in time where we will no longer be the most dangerous person in the room.
Yeah.
Regardless of who you are, you time out, you have to pass it to the younger generation. And I think for people who define their life through their capacity at violence, and specifically those terms in that occupation, it's going to get real tough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we need to see 60-year-olds wearing their fucking GWAT kit.
No.
You know, fucking charging Iran.
Yeah.
I also didn't think I'd ever see a president getting ready to get on a helicopter saying about 2 other countries they don't know what the fuck they're doing on national TV.
Yeah, that was wild. Oh, wild.
Granted, I agree with the sentiment, but I just never thought I would see somebody say that.
Yeah.
Dude, it's wild. I don't know. I'm not a geopolitical expert on what's going on over there, but I am a student of history enough to know that there's never been a time since human beings have around that we haven't been fighting each other.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's ever going to stop.
Yeah.
There's just too many people with divergent views. There's the Western view. People who haven't gone over there have a really hard time understanding how differently that portion of the world specifically views the world.
Yep.
I don't have the vocabulary to bridge that gap for them. Other than to say that it's different.
I don't think you can. You have to
see it, and you have to immerse yourself in it and go, oh, yeah, we're not changing that.
Yeah, there's no supplying anybody more information than going, oh,
yeah, they're not going to have a light bulb moment that goes off that shifts their culture that has been what it has been for thousands of years.
Yeah,
And what I don't want to see is any boots on the ground in Iran, though.
Yeah,
I tell you that much. Like,
there's no need for that, man.
I hope not.
Yeah, there's a point where I'm not an isolationist, but I think if you look at history, you have like China back in the day and all these different. There's a period where we kind of have to go into this isolationist mode. It's like, let's pour our resources internal. Let's make ourselves strong from the inside out. There's so many fucking issues, man. And I understand there needs to be preemptive things and not reactivity all the time. But there's so many issues we need to handle internal, man. But to answer you, no, I don't feel that I'm good. I feel good about my path, focus on my family, my business, my daily flows, my, building myself and those other qualifications and doing things because that torch, dude, I see being able to mentor some guys and, hit me up like, hey, dude, I'm trying to go on the teams. I'm like, hey, dude, well, good, fucking solid. You see like that, that energy, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like there's good dudes coming up, man. And it's like, if you see is like some NFL player, you see these fucking dudes that are like the cream of the crop, and then you look and you see them on a sideline at some team fucking 15 years later. They're still in the league. And I'm like, bro, but it happens to everybody. I don't care how fucking good you are. I remember seeing Junior Seau one time, man, when he was on the sideline for the Patriots, right? And I remember seeing him, and I'm like, damn, dude, that dude was like MVP of the league, and now he's like second string, right? Still balling, still fucking stud, but it was just an interesting moment. And I think about that when, you time out, man.
You can hang the kid up, but you can still pass on the knowledge. I think that's how you can. I was going to say relevance, but I mean, the things change and you wouldn't necessarily be up to speed on tactics, but you can help prepare other people to go into that pipeline and pass the torch onto them. And I think if people can make that jump, they're going to be okay. It's the ones that feel like they have to be the one to wear the kit and run into the burning building. Dude, at some point you just can't.
Yeah, there's a confidence piece and there's an alignment piece and a faith piece and a purpose piece and understanding yourself and being okay with fucking turning that chapter. I had a homie, man, he's a Green Beret for, a lot of years. And he goes, dude, you have to be understanding and okay with the fact that you're never going to find a job that's going to fucking fulfill that you're not going to skydive into a fucking unknown DZ and fucking be doing all this shit. And then he goes, that's not happening. So don't seek the same fulfillment. I really appreciated how he said that. He goes, don't seek this because you're not going to find it. He goes, put a period at the end of it and turn the fucking page. And I go, I like that, man. And just go, you know what? I'm not going to cry because it's over. I'm going to smile because it happened. I'm fucking grateful that I got to hit some of those wickets and do some things and, luck and things and destiny and things came together, and I'm grateful, but I'm okay with it being done.
I'm not going to cry because it's over. I'm going to smile because that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm 100% stealing that and making it my own.
Yeah, you should.
I'll change a word in there and say I came up with it.
Mix it up,
So how old are you now?
39.
39.
I'll be 40 in August.
Death is close.
Yeah, it's coming, dude. I'm way over halfway.
I look at my age and my driver's license. I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
Dude, your skin looks great, man. What are you doing? You moisturizing every day, man?
Michael, can tell you the secret.
What's your heritage? What's your heritage?
German.
Yeah. So all pretty much a percentage?
I think so. I'm afraid of doing 23andMe because I feel like I'm educating the fucking Skynet somewhere on my DNA, right? Like, I don't know where it gets sent.
Yeah, that's getting stocked somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Dude, actually, in 23andMe, God, we're off on a tangent now. I think it just got sold.
Really?
So everybody's personal information and data is going to become the possession of somebody else, and who fucking knows where that's going to go.
Yeah, it's probably some foreign government.
Yeah, it's like China's over there like making robots out of our CRISPR DNA. Who bought 23andMe, Michael? Thank God.
Dude, I saw a thing, a 70-year-old man or an old guy got arrested because somebody in his family did a 23andMe and it fucking went into the system and it pinged him as being a relative. I don't know how it all fucking happened.
Yep.
And they fucking went to his house and arrested him on an old cold case. And I was like, damn, it's coming. It's happening. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming, man.
What'd you find, Michael?
TTAM Research Institute.
So
TTAM?
China.
I was just going to say, that sounds a little Beijing-ish to me. I mean, dude, that is people's, whether it's Beijing or not, whoever is going to buy that data is genetic makeup, personal information.
Crazy.
There's birthdays, probably socials.
Phone numbers.
People are
everything.
rushing to just fucking gag on this swab and send it off to somebody in a fucking trench coat somewhere.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Dude.
It's a great pitch, too. They're like
TTAM. It's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for.
Stands for CHINA.
yeah, stands for Kung Pao Chicken, bro.
Did it actually go through?
What's that?
Did the sale go through?
Yeah, no, it's a nonprofit, which is kind of promising, but I don't
what
know.
What makes that promising?
Yeah.
It just sounds better than...
Yeah.
Oh, my... Yeah. Oh, it's definitely...
I want to hear for-profit. I'd feel more trustworthy.
Well... People think that nonprofits don't make money. They just don't show a profit at the end of the year. You can get fantastically wealthy running a 501c3.
As we saw what was coming out.
Tax structures are a little bit different. My God. Okay, so you're almost 40, going into the fourth decade. Like, what's next?
Dude, I really like getting on stage and telling my story. I've spoken some prisons. I actually did a couple, man. And
do you think they want to hear you, or are they just bored?
No, it's a mix of both.
I was gonna say
it's a mix of both.
I'm either in my cell or listening.
I mean,
to this
the prisoners, dude. They're like, dude, I will say this. They're like, dude, I fucking wasn't gonna stay. I just signed out to get out of the fucking thing. They're like, but you started talking and they're like, because I talk shit and I make it fun, you know, and I'll talk to business guys too. But dude, what I really appreciate doing, what I really get a lot of purpose out of, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I do like 6 hours of Zooms a day with just one client at a time, and just restructuring daily habits. It's all it is. It's just getting people some fucking momentum. You and I both know, and I tell them, there's no fucking perfect workout plan. Yeah. There's no fucking food plan. Get some framework, some shit that works. Let's get some shit moving, and then get the momentum going.
Do you see any consistent patterns with people who are stuck?
Yep.
Like things that are stumbling blocks that a lot of people are encountering?
A lot of vices. Right? Alcohol, like we talked about, that's going to be a lot of them. You'll have relationship issues, but all that's stemming from bad habits generally. And usually it's they're just getting accountable. That's why they kind of reach out. They've just come to the point where they go, it's my fucking fault. I got to make myself better. The only answer, whether I got a divorce going on or my business partner fucked me or I'm starting to feel speed wobbles or just losing the momentum, that mojo, which I'm sure we all have, and guys watching, we've all gotten a little bit off the path. You just don't fucking feel vigor anymore. Like, just fuck, what the fuck?
Ups and downs, man. Gotta call it the sine wave of life. Good days and bad. Problem is, with social media, people focus on the peaks and not necessarily the valleys. Yeah. And that's the thing where it can appear, God, there's some fascinating documentaries too about people at the apex who end up blowing their fucking brains out, but everything they post is positive and success. And I've even seen
that's an interesting study.
I've even seen it a few times too on these documentaries where you can see they talk themselves into this elevated, like, happy persona. The camera comes on, and then afterwards the real person comes out and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. They're living the saddest, most miserable life. And that's not as a judgment, but I actually feel so bad for how bad they actually feel. Yeah. That balancing back and forth, I mean, I get it. Yeah. Like, fuck. I wish people, what sucks though is I don't think the valley sells as well as the peak.
Well, and that's what a lot of times I'll turn the camera on and I'll do stuff when I'm in a low vibrational state. And it's really...
Hold on. Did you just use the term vibrational state? Yeah. I have a buddy, Greg Anderson. Have you ever met him?
No.
Okay, he likes crystals. I feel like at this point... You guys would get along because he fucking sends me crystals, which my wife put next to a plant. And we're at dinner and she's like, oh yeah, the plant's growing. He's like, it's the crystal. I'm like, fuck.
I'm not a crystal guy. And I don't know if the plants grow faster with, Mozart going on, but I do know when I walk out of a gym or I've gotten some sun, I fucking feel better.
The sun's a real one. Vitamin, the D3. God.
So I push daily sunlight, movement, fucking mindful thought. I'm a really big fan of morning process too, like not just
take it easy, Huberman.
Now, not waking up but not so structured in the sense that, dude, I don't feel. I talk about like tides, dude. It's just like the tides. Everything's rhythmic. You have to feel bad. You have to feel good. It has to happen both. Yeah. So it's what you're doing with both states. Are you fucking taking that bad thing and then shitting on your family, right? Because you're feeling like you're a piece of shit. So you're projecting out. That's the accountability piece. It's like, dude, Get yourself fucking correct. Understand you don't have to feel good all the time. And this is kind of what my whole thing is. It's just whether you're low, high, shit's going bad or good, keep your fucking daily flow pretty much the same. Don't change it. And don't stack on karmic debt by making immoral choices. As men, dude, we have fucking desires of the flesh and shit that pulls us in all these fucking different directions. And how many great men have been taken down? And I fucked my life up with desires and shit. We all fucking, so it's like, dude, stay in that course, man. It's not easy. Anybody tells you that it is, it's fucking full of shit. Understand that desire never goes away. All these temptations that I heard they said, dude, opportunity knocks, but fucking temptation leans on the doorbell. And that is a fucking truth, man.
That is powerfully accurate.
Yeah. It's always there. And as you get better and more money and things and fucking opportunities, it gets more and more complex. And so my whole thing is just simplify what the fuck you want, know what you want, and then start working towards it. Simple.
You think, looking back on your life, if you were to pull yourself aside at 20, that you would have ever been able to convince your 20-year-old self this is what you'd be doing at 40?
Fuck no, I wouldn't. And they go, what advice would you have given I wouldn't have taken the fucking advice.
It's like I would have ignored my future self. Like, you're an idiot. My life's gonna be totally different.
Yeah.
You're like, no. I lived your life. I'm trying to help you. Like, fuck you,
nerd.
You don't know me. Like, no, I am you. Like, not me. I'm different.
You vibrational. Well, yeah, that's fucking sounds
Take
pretty
your
lame.
crystal and shove it up your ass.
Yeah. I needed those lessons, and some people do, and so it's you can't steal somebody their lessons. Sometimes they need to go through it and maybe just guide them.
What do you think you'll focus on now, being a father, that you would want differently for your child as opposed to you growing up?
Dude, I mean, I know my dad, he's still going through it. We talk and stuff, he's still going through his stuff, but I have a daughter, so it's so important, that relationship. She's going to measure a lot of men off me and her self-worth. She's going to measure
all men.
Yeah, and her self-worth. And so, my anger and how I treat her mother and things like that. And I want her to feel confident. I want her to understand her worth, and also just financial security and things like that, which I didn't really have growing up. And it really, I think it pushes a lot of my ambition, is I want her to feel stable, safe, and have, opportunities and be able to like exercise, her interests and in a safe place.
Do you have a number that would make you feel safe?
I kind of do have a number. Yeah, I kind of do have a number in my head that is would probably take some of the edge off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about like you log onto B of A and you see that number, you're like, fuck
yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, exactly. I have that number in my head.
Multiple millions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Double digit millions?
No, not that high. No. Yeah. I would say, even if I would say a good solid one cash liquid, I'm feeling good. I'm getting there. Not there yet, yo. But
I feel like that'd be dope.
Yeah, I'm getting there, getting close. But solid that after taxes, shit paid off, house paid off.
So make two to have one. Thanks, Gov. Remember, we started the Revolutionary War on 3% tax.
But I know that I'm just gonna stay in it, and that meter will move. But one thing I'm very cognizant of, because I've had money, lost money, lost money. And I'm sure a lot of us have, but I'm not going to swell my fucking lifestyle. Yeah. That's the mistake I've made before. And I just am not interested in it. I don't have this huge desire to have a bunch of shit. I like a couple nice cars. I want the house paid off. I want some land.
Yeah.
And that's really fucking all I care about, man. I want to have a nice fucking gym. And dude, that's all I fucking care about, man. It's really.
Fight Club is an amazing movie for so many reasons. But fucking Brad Pitt's line, where the things you own end up owning you.
1,000%.
Dude, I have made such dumb decisions with money.
Yep.
And it's that weird excitement where you're like, I don't know if I should get this.
Yeah.
And then you get it, and a month later, you forget you had it.
Yeah, or give a fuck.
And you have a full closet of things.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do.
Get rid of shit.
Yeah. From my wife's closet when she's not home.
Dude.
I made the mistake. I've had her on a few times. I had
told her.
Well, somebody in the comments was like, either you tell her or we're going to. I was like, fuck. So I told her, and she goes, yeah, but my secret is I go into the garbage and I get it back out. I'm like, fucking checkmate.
Yeah, dude, we're in a year of simplification. I did that with my fiance.
Isn't it beautiful? I feel good. If I can One of my favorite things to do is to just give shit to people. Like, here, take this. Like, for me, people send me a ton of jiu-jitsu keys.
Yeah.
Jesus fuck. First off, for any jiu-jitsu player, you know the deal. Laundry becomes a totally real thing, especially if you're doing more than one class a day.
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing fucking laundry every day?
Yep.
So I have a stack of gis that would take me a month to wear. And my wife's like, don't give them away. I'm like, I wear the same one over and over and over again. So I give them away, and it's awesome to see other people take value out of something that's not valueless to me. It just doesn't mean as much to me as it would mean to them.
1,000%.
It feels so good to walk into wherever you live, and you're like, I can see every corner.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's going to look even better when I get rid of that shit.
Yeah. Simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. Just look at like architecture. When things get more complex, things start to simplify. Look at technology. What's happening? Things are simplified. And I'm like, dude, why am I not doing that with my life? And that's another thing I teach. I'm like, bro, clean out your fucking drawers. Clean out your closet. It's taking up subconscious space. That fucking miscellaneous drawer, your mind knows it's there. It might be low on the fucking totem pole. Clean it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Pelican cases and gear and
6-month rule is what it's what I go.
that.
And it stings sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Because you'll find things, you're like, well, this is only 5.5 months. I'll have these conversations.
I might use this, but it's actually it's a letting go.
Let it go.
Let go or be dragged, right? That old Zen proverb. And it's been great. My fiance's got on board. She gave bags and bags of clothes, getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good? And so that's our phase right now. And I want to continue that with my life, man. It's like, here, another thing is I want to keep my overhead low. I want to be able to pivot on things if I need to.
Yeah.
Also, now having a kid, dude, I don't want to stretch the line too thin and stack unnecessary fucking stress on me, which I've done before, and I'm not going to do it now with a child, with other people involved. And so this has been a process for me of going, what do I really want? And that's the other piece is being confident and good about your daily habits and your interests that don't require fucking buying shit to fill some fucking endless void.
I just want time. Yeah. I don't really have a number. I do think $1 million in an account would be dope.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably find something I would want to buy.
Yeah.
It was like, I need 1.1 because this thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say no to anything that I want to.
Yeah.
To do with whomever I want to, whatever I want. That to me would be, even though I'm pretty sure it'd be amazing to be Bezos and also have a 15 million fucking foot long yacht, whatever. He's having currently a foam party that I just saw a picture. Why I saw that picture, I don't know. He's having a 19-day wedding extravaganza.
Nice.
I feel like being a billionaire would have its potential upsides.
Yeah.
But I do know a couple billionaires, and the downsides almost seem like it could rival the upside. Dude. They don't know who to trust. They don't know who to have in their social circle. They think everybody wants something from them. Shockingly enough, because most people do want something from them. I just want to be like, I don't know how much time I have left. You and I have both ridden our combat chassis pretty hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Polluted it over the years. I just want to do the shit like the helicopter.
Yeah.
Does it make financial sense? No.
Yeah.
Do I give a fuck? No.
Yeah.
Because I'm off having an adventure.
Yeah.
And I've flown all of my kids in it. I've flown my wife. I flew my son down to Bozeman to pick up the keys to his first apartment.
That's cool.
We put some shit in the back. And we landed at one of the FBOs, and they have a car that you can use.
That's badass.
Yeah, and he's just like, "This is amazing." And
yeah, that's fucking cool experience.
Yeah, and we go
experiences.
We go get breakfast. He's like, "Oh, I forgot my wallet." I'm like, "Sure you did."
Yeah.
You know? But like that story, he'll tell his kids that story.
Yeah.
There's no amount of money.
No.
There's no gift. Like, he's not going to tell his kids a story about anything I gave him.
Yeah.
But he'll remember that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the number's not huge in the bank account.
Yeah.
But the experience equity is high.
Yeah, it's not going to change your quality of life. Like at some certain point, if your immediate needs are met, dude, I just want my family to be, feel secure. I want to be not stressed the fuck out, and business partners and things, and keeping who I bring into my life very specific.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and
the stress part, not
and the stress part. It's stress mitigation by not doing dumb shit unnecessarily. There's always going to be so many things that are going to come.
Yeah.
Just by the nature of how we live and pushing the fold and so I'm just going to try to mitigate that as much as possible.
You going to have more kids?
We'll see,
Do you want to?
I'm not like, once again, I'm not going to try to stack complexity unnecessarily. So we're rolling with this one and we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not
As somebody who has
though.
3 kids, there is some complexity between 1 and 2, but your life will be fucking over when you have 3. They just know.
Yeah.
It's zone defense.
Yeah.
They just fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
2 boys and a girl. They're so different. My kids are so fantastically different, and it's amazing.
That's cool.
Same genetics, baseline genetics, but the expression of that, the desires, the way they communicate, even just watching how they communicate with each other is enough to just dry fire a gun in your mouth sometimes.
Yeah. It's been a fascinating thing. She started laughing. She's 6 months old.
Yeah.
Pretty much today. And so it's been a fucking just humbling experience, man, because I just never saw it for myself. I thought someday maybe, but I just never, it wasn't something in my world that I wasn't sure I was going to make it this long, let alone, now I'm in this position. I feel so fortunate to have a good partner and, peaceful and not combative, and she's awesome, and having the baby healthy. And I just feel super grateful.
What do you guys have planned wedding wise? Are you going to go big, small,
no,
simple?
Small. She wants to do it up in like Coeur d'Alene with her, do it by the lake and just have family around, man, rent a big house. Everybody stays at the same spot. That's how we'll do. Yeah. I want to keep it small.
I think that is the way. I had, the first time I got married was at the courthouse.
Yeah.
My current wife comes from an Italian family. I was trying to position that I would stand up there by myself. She had 13 bridesmaids because she was involved in all of their weddings. Yeah. She threatened to put half of them on my side. Yeah. So I was like, okay. But legitimately, that's how it went down. I'm like, I'll just be by myself. It'll be amazing pictures. She's like, yeah, until I slide half. I'm like, fuck. So we had a huge wedding, which was also, it was so much fun. My dad married us. I think he skipped a page in what he was supposed to read. So it was like the fastest wedding ever. We were straight over to the bar. I mean, no speeches, nothing. Just a total celebration. But there's a lot of stress in that because it becomes this balance of, is this wedding about the people or about the party you're having for everybody else? Yeah. Small is a lot easier. Yeah. I'll probably just invite a few people, keep it. That's what I want. That's what she wants. Get a killer Airbnb in Coeur d'Alene. That's what she wants too. So it's like more, I have zero desire to have some big fucking shenanigans, man. And I don't want to spend the money on it, really. I mean, it's not just about the money, but I don't see the need to. I'd rather go to fucking Hawaii for fucking 2 weeks after, For sure. When you're talking with the people and their vices, how do you get them to put down booze? I don't tell them to put down it. I was going to say, how do you talk around that? I don't tell them. I say, let's start focusing on the greater, and the lesser will start falling away. I go, once you start, because I'm not the be a monk guy. It's not how I live. I don't promote that. But I say, let's start feeling better, working out, eating a little bit better, fucking getting the body looking better. And then next thing you know, I'm like, also start tracking your calories on the fucking booze. Dudes will just be like, holy shit, I'm trying to work out, but I'm drinking 1,000 calories a day. Dude. That's actually helped. That's what helped me. Starbucks in a single beverage. 1,000%. I go, track all the beverages, man. I go, and then you really start fitting in and you go, damn, dude, there's so many good substitutions that you can do. And then you figure out what works for you. And then you start feeling better. It's really that. Once you start feeling better, you want to do better. Yeah. And then that's pretty much how I approach it. Hard drugs and shit. If someone's like got a real bad cocaine problem, which I got, guys, that I'm like, dude, we gotta cut that because there's no riding off into the sunset with a huge cocaine problem. The Colombian marching powder is a tough issue you're gonna have to deal with. Hard opiates, stuff like that. I go, dude, we gotta taper it. If it's definitely the opiates, I go, so I put guys on a taper program. How'd you get yourself off of it? Dude, I white knuckled it. Dude, when I left, I go, dude, I got to leave so I'm not around any contacts. That's why I left. Is this when you went to Hawaii? Yeah, I was like, and I went and day one, man, and I was like, well, I'm okay. And then day 2, day 3, I didn't sleep. I could not sleep. I felt like I was crawling out of my skin, dude. I was like, it's as bad as they say. It was bad. And then it got to day 4 and 5. And I was like, fuck. And my joints are starting to swell. And so I took myself to the emergency room, which, guys like us, we got to be fucking. Yeah. And I went to the not emergency room, but like the urgent care. And I said, dude, I'm a former Navy SEAL. I'm not here like to try to fucking get drugs or whatever, but I know sleep deprivation. I'm like I need something to put me to sleep or fucking. So they hit me with some Benadryl, didn't really work. But then, and I didn't want anything narcotic because I just wasn't trying to. So he gave me some, whatever that stuff, it starts with an A, they would give us to sleep. Ambien. They gave me some Ambien, that fucking worked. I went to sleep and I woke up, dude, and I felt like I had come out of a fog. Really? That next day, I fucking felt fine. It was like 5-6 days of just shit. And then I felt fine. And then I was like,
okay, I was in the sauna. Sauna helped. Hydration, a little bit of just sweating it out and fucking through that process was helpful.
What were you getting from the opiates while you were on them? Was it?
It was more, dude. It felt great, and that was the problem, dude. Is it made me like pretty focused, and
It made you focus.
yeah, it made me pretty focused. I wasn't like, but I could think, and it was maybe a little bit of an antidepressant. I was kind of going through a breakup, and some things were going on, and so I started probably as people. Some people will say, "Oh, I got in a car." I wasn't doing it for the pain.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get caught up with that. I was doing it because I was trying to get fucking high. You know, and it just took the edge off of maybe some emotional pain or something. Yeah, that I was going through.
How did you find the fentanyl when you went down that path?
Dude, I just, growing up in San Diego, I got a lot of contacts and just in drug game and all. I just knew a lot of people, and then that stuff came on board. This was like 2018.
Yeah.
That stuff started coming in. The drug dealer was like, bro, this much. He's like, this much. He goes, dude, not more than that.
Yeah, you'll die.
And I went tits up like 2-3 times, man. Fucking smashed
Seriously?
my face on the fucking table, man. Yeah, and like 2-3 times. And here's how fucked up I was. I would just wake up, be like bleeding. I got scars on my face, man, a couple times, and just go get stitched up and just start my fucking day. Just like normal. Just like, damn, I would wake up like bleeding, and I'd go, fuck. And I'd drive myself, get stitched up, and just back on driving and doing stuff. It was just... Looking back, it was just like chaos, man. Chaos. And I couldn't, everybody could see it except me, right? You're always the last one to know.
Outside of the business stuff you're doing, what else do you like to do?
Dude,
Got any recreational hobbies?
yeah, dude, I play chess. Chess is a big one. But outside stuff, man, dude, I fucking love the beach. So I always try to get down
Do you
to the
play
beach.
chess online?
Yeah. I play chess online.
Fuckface here.
I play blitz
He used
games.
to work security for us at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Air quotes for those of you just listening. I would occasionally, he would not see me coming. He'd either be laying on the fucking couch playing chess, standing next to where they serve the drinks playing chess because he's under the fucking security camera, and our manager's like zooming in, critiquing. He's just like, Rook tonight for what a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
You know, like, so if you like online chess, here's a fucking guy.
Yeah,
for you.
dude. Yeah. I've been playing since I was like 5, so I've really got into that. But man, I'm like, dude, I fucking love going to the gym, man, and I love a good daily flow, spending time with the family now. I try to split up my day. I start really early, start working on Zooms fucking early, just because I got guys at East Coast, different places.
What time do you go to bed?
I go to bed probably like 8 or 9, 9:30.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I go to bed pretty fucking early, and I don't mind it at all. It's good for the baby and stuff now too.
Yeah,
it's just the timing works great, and my fiance likes going to bed that time too. And then I take the middle of the day and I go work out with her. We have a gym that we can bring the baby to, and she goes outside workout facility, and so she can work out. I can work out for a couple hours, get some sun, and in Temecula, it's great. We work out outside, and then back, and I'll finish up some work and ride a little bit. They've had an interest to kind of, not that every fucking SEAL has a book, but I'm gonna write I have an interest to do a book to series adapt. So I'm kind of polishing up my book where I don't talk about anything in the SEAL teams, really. It's like a fucking sentence like I was here. It starts with me going in the Legion. And so it's like me.
How will the Legion like that? Obviously, it doesn't really matter, but how do you think they'll respond to it?
Fine, because I'm not going to rip on it at all. I'm more talking about, the book is more about the guys in the Legion, the characters you come across, like who the fuck are these people? What countries? Like the backstories are fucking fascinating. I'll just give one example. A guy from Kenya, fucking Kenya, which I don't know if anybody's tried if you're African, but to get a visa into Europe from an African nation is extremely difficult. So he could not get there. So what he did, being Kenyan, he's like, well, I'm going to start, what do? We run marathons. So he started running marathons, and he got really good, and he wanted to go in the Foreign Legion. And he's like, just figured out a race that he could get to France. And he fucking goes and just said later, didn't do the fucking race, but he trained for 3 years, got his ranking up, got to France on a fucking thing, and just went into the Legion.
Yeah, my man's going to be just fine.
And he fucking, dude, humbling running some of the tests with this guy, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, my man is going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Put in that type of effort with a carrot that far down the road.
Savage.
Fuck.
And I heard another guy, he walked, no passport, from Romania to France. Walked. They go, how did you get here? He showed up to the Legion gates, no fucking passport. And they go, what are we going to do? And they go, dude, this guy got all the way from Romania with no passport. He's probably going to be a good Legionnaire. So they
got to at least give it a shot.
Yeah, they kept him. Just the backstories are fascinating. So that's more what I'm focused on, is actually like not the operational shit, you know, but actually the stories of the guys and then what it did for me.
I would be fascinated. It would be tough to get them to tell their stories, but also their life after the Legion.
Yeah.
What they did, you know, because whatever that huge funnel that brought them to the Legion, and they can come out a different person, literally and metaphorically. They may not want people to know what they had done on the big end of that funnel leading them to the Legion, but that would be fascinating as well. Did they just disappear into society peacefully, quietly? Like, what did they do?
Some guys do, and that's why I keep in contact with a lot of these guys, and it's fascinating, man. It's really fascinating. Obviously, a lot of the guys that I talked to in Ukraine, a lot of them went back to fight, and so they're dealing with that stuff, and that's a whole complex thing. And it's some guys, the Legion turns into not the best person. It's a very tough environment. It's can get people kind of jaded, and then some people come out, you know, in much like me, much more appreciative of a lot of simple things. Like I washed my fucking socks in the sink for fucking 4 years, right? And so it puts a different kind of spin on stuff that, and it really helped me simplify what I needed. Cause I came back, I had like the same pair of shoes and like 5 shirts for like 5 years, you know? And so
something can be said about the SEAL teams or the military in general. It can be transformative for a lot of people, and for others, not the best.
Yeah. And so there's some of that story. That's a really good idea. Kind of think about like the post stuff. Like
I'd be just fascinated to know, especially those who were, and this is why I think it'd be hard, is they probably wouldn't want to, if they wanted to, their origin story was somewhere like, hey, I really want to change my trajectory and be something else, you might have a hard time getting them to open up about the origin story or connect the two.
Yeah.
Because after that portal of the Legion, if you get a different name, it's like you can go be that person.
Yeah, and some guys' origin stories they just want something more. You know, it's not necessarily something bad. They're not running from something. They just want something more.
I think that's true of
probably
most men.
Yeah. Yeah, that desire, and then it's that action, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's missing for a lot of people is they don't know where to put that energy. Like they know they want to do more, they know they want to grind and work towards something, but they don't know where to like throw a dart.
And here's what I say to that always. If you don't know what, start working on the who. If you don't know what you want to fucking do, start turning yourself into a fucking beast, right? Wake up earlier, eat better, work out fucking harder, start there. And then the path illuminates as you walk it. Like you said in your career, like I didn't really have a plan. You didn't need to.
Dude.
You just start, and then the path illuminates, man, when you're walking on it.
I try to be so blatantly obvious about the choices I've made in my life and how I never thought I was going to start a fucking podcast. This was not my idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do any of this. It started with like a little Zoom HD6 recorder and 2 microphones that were held down by Rogue 5-pound plates.
Yeah.
That a sponsor that I was working with, 511 Tactical, bought for me. That grew to, I forget what I had after that. It was probably similar to that board that's over there, but a smaller version, and like a single Sony Handycam that I probably used to use for fucking skydiving.
Yeah.
With like a fingerprint or like a scrape right down the middle. And then other cameras, and slowly, I used to do it at my house at the pandemic, and I was like, this is weird because people come over that I don't know, so maybe that's also not safe. Like, if you're ever going to have a woman on, it's like, hey, meet me at my house in the woods in Montana. I'm like, that's fucking weird. So,
how many years was this? How many years was it you've been doing?
I think
this podcast?
8 or 9.
Yeah. So, interesting story is I get into the Legion, and there was an guy from Israel who was in the Foreign Legion in my combat company. And he goes, hey, he could speak great English, and he was fascinated with SEALs and that whole fucking world, read a lot of books. He showed me your podcast.
No way.
Straight up, dude. A guy from fucking Israel in the Foreign Legion in a barracks room. So this is why coming here was very surreal for me.
Yeah.
Because
I'm glad you reached out.
He was one of the first fucking people that I talked to in the Legion, like in my combat company, who wasn't a dick, who was just like, he was almost done, and he just, wanted to be in the Foreign Legion. And he goes, hey man, he goes, because he found out I was a SEAL. He goes, hey, he was another SEAL. He started this podcast, and he was showing me your fucking podcast.
That's
so that
wild.
coming here now, I was outside. I was going, dude, I'm meeting Andy Stumpf at this fucking podcast. And I remember being in this low doubt, just felt a million miles away, alone. It felt like you were on another planet, right?
Yeah.
And then being here outside, I was going, what the fuck? What a crazy life fucking thing, dude.
Well, it's weird. It's the same thing as the videos that you put up where people reach out, it changed the decision that they were going to make. It's so odd to just hit upload. I have no control.
Yeah.
Like I would have never guessed in a million years that a dude from Israel, while you were in the fucking Legion, would be like, hey, do you know this dude? Because for people not in the SEAL community, they're like, hey, do you know Bob?
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point like, yeah, he's awesome dude.
Bob's a savage.
Yeah, he's fucking stud. Top 10 for sure. Because I don't fucking know Bob. Because they think that we all know everybody. Yeah. It's a small community, but very large. But you hit that upload button, you have no idea where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
or the impact it can have, or where somebody can find it in their life.
Yeah. The connectivity and the timing.
It's wild.
I think that there's like, maybe you do too, there's a lot more orchestrating than meets the eye. And just in my life, I've experienced that. And I continue to, man. And this is just one of those moments, man. So I appreciate you having me out. Dude,
I'm glad that you reached out. Did you find faith along the way? Were you a religious person?
You know what? I wouldn't call myself religious, spiritual, as people say it. But I've always kind of felt this like guiding force. I've always kind of felt protected and like I wasn't raised in the church or anything like that. Yeah. No, I wasn't raised. I was actually I was exposed to quite a few religions. My mom, we went to meditation things and Buddhist. She was just kind of open-minded in that capacity. But I would call myself Christian if I could call myself anything. But I definitely feel like there's universal laws and principles at play here with everything. And Jimmy says a great quote, man. He goes, "A man that doesn't believe in destiny doesn't have one." And I feel like I have a destiny, and everybody should. And then that there's a guiding force for that.
Yeah, I'm not. I would describe myself as agnostic. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
right?
and I respect agnostics because I always think atheist is kind of a thing. I always think somebody that
you're very certain about something that's uncertain.
Yeah, the certainty is what I go, bro. Who the fuck knows? I go. Yeah. I think it's very fair and reasonable to go. You know what? I'm not sure. There's a great. I love debates, and I'll see. And this one guy did this great debate. It was like hardcore Christian against atheists. I just find those fascinating.
We call that clickbait.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm gonna click on this motherfucker. He drew a picture, and he said, "All right, explain to me." He goes, "This is the knowledge, all the knowledge in the world that can be known, everything." He goes, "Draw how much of a percentage you think you know."
Oh, that's a dot.
Yeah, and I go, and this dude, he drew a pie graph way too big. You would drew a line, it would be too fat.
Yeah, I would draw a dot.
All of us,
Yeah.
And he goes, "So you're saying something can exist in this massive piece that you don't know?" And I fucking think it's a great argument. And so I think open-mindedness is the best approach.
Yeah, it's there have been so many odd things. Younger in my life, I tried to be very rigid and control outcome through steps that I thought I could control along the way. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not a religious person. And people, it's funny, people reach out to me all the time. They're like, "Oh, you need to find God." I'm like, listen, I'm not saying that I'm not open to the idea. Yeah, I'm just being honest that it hasn't grabbed me.
I don't like when people reach out. Some of the most closed-minded people that smash on me, and I have some faith, and people go, "You got to find Jesus," and I go, "Bro, you don't even know what I believe." I go, "Dude, here's what I say to some people. I go, the fact that you're putting that out there shows how elementary you are in your understanding of faith. The fact that you fucking would say that." Yeah. I go, "Dude," the best thing to do is shut the fuck up and watch, right? Just watch and be, man. Live it, be it. Yeah. You don't need to fucking stand on a podium, right? And I say, it's an attractive quality, man. Faith and be a fucking good dude. Good shit'll happen. Think good thoughts, do good deeds. Start there.
The less I have tried to, going back to the architecture I tried to set for myself, the more I have actually not let go of the reins, but loosened it a little bit. And, because everybody has like, hey, I have to, this is your baseline standard from an economic perspective. I have to make this much. Man, I'm at a place where I know it's going to kind of sort itself out. Yeah. Probably because I'm willing to do whatever I need. I know that I am willing to do, if I have a chance, I can do whatever I need to survive. And kind of accepting that, and this is probably not the best explanation for people, but it lets you kind of just relax and let things come at you as opposed to trying to control every single variable. The more I release pressure on the reins, it's almost as if more opportunities present themselves. Man, and I don't know if that's a religious thing or a faith thing. And again, it's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But I feel less stressed by saying, maybe you could say God will sort that out or the universe will sort that out or whatever the fuck in between those two things works for you. It has worked for me.
Yeah, let go and let God. There's a great, I like Zen proverbs and stuff too. I think there's a lot to be learned from just like those simple phrases. They say, you know, I found all the answers when I stopped asking all the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like that, man. I go, oh, you know what? And that's that simplification. Man, you're going to simplify the closets. How about we simplify what we're trying to do?
God. Subtraction is way more powerful than addition.
Subtraction is the key to success.
Yeah. Don't tell your wife, though, if she likes her stuff.
Yeah. I go, you know, you're out there busting out Zen quotes. You're like, honey, subtraction is the key. Shut, you know.
She fucked me up.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was taking the stuff out of the truck.
Dude, I tell you, I always tell, it was a battle. I go, you know, babe, I was like, you know, Amazon doesn't have to come here every day. It's not like it's an endless river of fucking Amazon packages.
So you're in the trenches with me.
Yeah, dude. And I see all these reels and guys. It's like, you know, it must be this prolific problem, man. And
dude, when you get a package, do you open it that day?
No.
What the fuck is wrong with you, you savage?
Well, like
I
if I ordered something.
No, that's what I'm saying.
If it's mail, no. I'm gonna order it.
If I order something,
I'm gonna open it.
If I get a package, I open it.
Yeah.
I will generally go out. We're renting a townhouse in town, and we have one of those mailbox towers.
Yeah.
So I'll go out there. I get the mail. Sometimes there's boxes for her and boxes for me.
Yeah.
I put them both on the table. I separate them. I'm doing the work for her. I open mine, fuck around with whatever thing that I'll probably lose interest in shortly, throw the box away. I swear to God, Michael, you can attest to this. You've seen it. There's a lot of boxes on the table. Why aren't you opening the box? It drives me nuts. Like, don't you want to know what's in there? Well, didn't you fucking order that?
They don't know what they ordered.
But it's like, if it's important, why aren't you opening it?
It was important. I heard this chick say something fucking hilarious. She goes, don't men realize we're gatherers? She goes, we're gathering. And she goes, sometimes we go and shop. She goes, we'll put stuff in the cart and we don't even buy it yet. We just have stuff in the cart.
My wife does this because she believes, and actually she might be correct in this, that if you leave something in the cart and don't buy it, that there's software on the back end from the company that will eventually offer you a coupon. I think she might be right.
She's probably right.
Because if you are a smart company,
they're like, hey, let's get them to buy this.
Yeah. She'll wait.
That's smart. That's hilarious.
We'll sit on the couch. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm shopping. I'm like, for what? Don't worry, I'm not going to buy anything. Yeah. And I'll say, I clearly, with my own eyes, just saw you hit add to cart.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy it. Then what the fuck
Dude,
did
they're
you
gatherers, bro. They're gathering.
I mean, that is a business in itself. Go to these companies, develop for them software that tracks specifically women's shopping. And I'm sure this has already been done. Items left in the cart. Yeah. Here's your 15% off. Your conversion rate is going to be through the roof.
Oh yeah, it's smart. If it's not there, she goes, I have to buy it now.
That is what she'll say.
Yeah.
And then you know what she'll say? Savings.
Yeah. I saved $600. I go, no.
You spent $1,800, but it would have been $24. I'm like, no. That doesn't mean you didn't spend the other $1,800.
They call it girl math. They go, and I heard they go, boy math is spending $120,000 on a car, so you'll save 40 on taxes.
Fuck yeah.
They go, that's boy math.
My daughter used to work at the coffee shop, you know, and their cash tips, and she would just blow through it. I'm like, Julia, what are you doing? She's like, money's not real. Cash isn't real. Only what I see in my bank account is, and I don't deposit my cash. It's girl math. I'm just like, fuck. Yeah. Fuck. I'm like, you know, you can put your cash into the account. She's like, who does that? Yeah. Just freaking, just rolling it out there.
Yeah, we're all in it.
Fuck. Dude, we've been at it for 3 hours.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah. What do you want to close it out with? What do you want people to...
Dude, I'm happy to be here, man. And, you know, anybody wants to get better, reach out to me. My website's the best place to get me, TaylorCavanaugh.com. All the contact forms, everything I do, it goes to me. I don't outsource anything. No AI, no teams. All Zooms with me. All comms are with me. And yeah, my YouTube, Taylor Cavanaugh, and my Instagram, TCavOfficial.
Sweet.
And we do workout videos. I do gym sessions with guys. If you're ever in SoCal, show up. We do
negative.
We'll get you on the weights, man. Get you on that weight pile.
I'll oil you guys up. Like, guys, want some baby oil?
Yeah, we'll get out there. But really, it's just a podcast standing up. And so it's just about, we just talk about God's past. I got cartel members, gang members, just fitness guys, but military guys and all in between.
It's such a cool time we live where you, with such low barrier to entries, you have portals into people's lives that you would, I I mean, I remember the first time I used a computer when I was in high school. It was a senior year.
Yeah.
Within 2 classes, I was searching for titties. But if I'm being honest. But as were many other men in the class, and men are just complete pigs and savages. But especially at the age of probably 17 at that point. I had never in a million years thought that you can connect with anybody in the world.
The knowledge transfer and the energy exchange now is fucking unbeatable. Ignorance now is a decision, man.
It really is. I have watched my children probably learn as much out of traditional school than in it by going to YouTube and just starting with how do you?
It's amazing.
Start a business.
Yeah.
Do something technical. It's fucking insane, man.
Yeah, it's impressive, man. I mean, it connected us, and it's like you can use it. It's like a weapon system. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
You can use it for fucking good or bad.
Yeah, or you can become addicted to it too. I think that's the struggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the struggle is making sure you're using it and it's not using you.
Yeah, setting it down, be deliberate. I'm all about that deliberate action. I'm sure you are too. It's like be deliberate and strategic about all the shit you're doing.
Yeah, and the best way for people to check that is to put their screen time notifications on their phone.
I do not want to fucking see that shit. I'm working.
I'm working on it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm working on it. Cool. All right, man. Let's get you, because you fly out of here in a couple hours. Let's get you out of here.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man.
Thanks, man.